Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small, way back before we blew it all. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small, way back before we blew it all. Too many things going on, I can't keep track of them all. From people dropping a bomb to people putting up walls. I feel like life is on hold, perception stuck in a vault. I know that time can heal all, but how much time till we fall? It's awfully chilly outside when there's no shelter to hide. When everything is a lie, you'll find that out in some time. But when the things on your mind are all considered a crime, communication aside, we'll all just fight till we die. Is this an argument or just the start of it? Either way, I don't wanna be a part of it. Can I just get some space? I don't have the heart for this. I can't be picking up the pieces, fixing scars from this. Is this an argument or just the start of it? I wanna drive away so I can be so far from it. I wanna find a place where no one breaks their promises, or maybe drown myself in something that is bottomless. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small, way back before we blew it all. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small, way back before we blew it all. I know that things seem bad, but they could be much worse. There's always someone else who has a greater curse, a greater thirst, a hunger, pain, and mercy. Just find whatever you got and try to be thankful first. I wanna feel again, I need a couple friends. I never really understood just how the story ends, but I can feel it's tense, don't know the consequence. The volatility of life, my only confidence. Is this an argument or just the start of it? Either way, I don't wanna be a part of it. Can I just get some space? I don't have the heart for this. I can't be picking up the pieces, fixing scars from this. Is this an argument or just the start of it? I wanna drive away so I can be so far from it. I wanna find a place where no one breaks their promises, or maybe drown myself in something that is bottomless. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small, way back before we blew it all. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small, way back before we blew it all.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to This Ain't That Show. Hold up. Getting all my stuff mixed up. No, not my Red Bull. That's the secret weapon. Blasted off. Curse this aluminum foil again. That's going to make rolling quite sticky. My lights ain't light enough. Let's light it up more. What's up, folks? What's happening? All right, so that was MVTV. He did him a little music montage thing, and he chopped together a whole bunch of like copyright stuff, short enough that it wouldn't be copyrighted, and I get where he was going, but I think it works better as a playthrough, right? Anyway, how we doing today? What's up, Show Me Sasquatch? Biggie and Bean, good to see you. All right, good to see you. Good to see you. Oh, wrong button. We do it this side where all the stuff is. What's up, Jason Ghost Hunter? You know what I'd do if I was you? I'd go get me a hockey mask, put a little Spookum Ghost on it for Halloween. That's what I'd do. Change my name to Kicking Ass. Damn right. Claiborne County Transparency, good to see you, brother. Who we got? Snarkin' Sass is probably sneaking around down there if she's got her phone reset. Now, we discovered something rather interesting, and it pertains to some stuff that's gone on for a minute now. If I have a guest in at all, I have a choice. I can either use StreamYards to show media in StreamYard's method, or I can get rid of the guest and show media the way I've been doing it. And it's a darn sight easier to do it on OBS on the fly than it is to do it in StreamYards on the fly, because StreamYards doesn't like to do things until it's well and settled and done, right? It wants to like completely download everything it's got to download and sit there and think on it for a while, and then it'll play it fine. And sometimes it's sketchy in the transfer anyway, and if you try to talk while you're playing something, it echoes back on itself like horrendously bad. And I don't like that. And that's why I've been doing it this way. But if I set it up for me to have guests, right, which is this, um, like that. Okay, so let's see. Can I hear myself on YouTube? Let's see. Yes, I can hear myself. Now, can I hear this? Okay, exactly. And if I use the original setup, okay. Well, shit. Um, what's up, bud? We're having some technical issues. That's just part of the show. In fact, I've got a thing for that. Hold on. Where's it at? You are listening to Sasquatch Radio, where the technical issues are part of the show. Yeah, that's about the best I got for you. I'm going to flip it back the other way and we're going to do this normally. And I apologize for the confusion in all this, but I can't know what it sounds like until I hear it on YouTube. I can only guess. So I kind of have to do this part live, which is why I do so many lives, is so I can constantly crap out. I wonder how that works. Is that going to do the thing?
Way to the top of my list. It's a long list. The characters in this story are true characters. Bananas. We got crazy German conmen, we got political stuff, we got inheritance, we got intrigue, but mostly, we got this.
Okay,
She
so y'all can hear
provided the
that.
stage, I provided the play.
You know I usually like to make...
All right. Okay. All right. Get that caught up. Mute that again. It's all going to work. Now, a few of my favorite channels that I've found over the past few months, year or so that I've had my channel going. This is That Chapter with Mike. And Mike is, I believe, an Irish fellow who goes into really deep into true crime. He takes a specific case, he breaks it down to its little nitty gritty, little proven plot point things, and then he does his thing. So his little catchphrase at the beginning of his thing, he always says, "Let's have a goo." So let's have a goo. I'm terrible at this. Let's try this. It's turdy tree and a turd. Let's have a goo. I'm really bad at that. But anyway, I love his work. It's absolutely top notch.
Guten Tag you, and welcome. My name is Mike. And you know, it's the Big Bizarre Tales of Bizarre People. And here, listen, right, I know I say that a lot, but this one, pretty quickly, made its way to the top of my list. It's a long list. The characters in this story are true characters, bananas. We got crazy German conmen, we got...
I got a song after the show I want you to hear. I dug it out of some, like, in deep, dark web. I'm going to play it for everybody after the show. It's the original song I was going to use for MVTV's dance. But then that one just kind of fit it so well. Figured I'd go with it.
Political stuff, we got inheritance, we got intrigue, but mostly, we got this.
She provided the stage, I provided the play.
You know I usually like to make little jokes in my videos, which probably only I enjoy, but it keeps me sane. This one though, it's all around, it's comical. Let's just get straight into this one, which rises like a Valkyrie, soaring until the inevitable Goddardamaron. Let's give it a go.
Let's give it a go. I got it wrong. Oh, Bob.
Germans in Washington, D.C. in this old one. It's a story, it's really two stories intertwined. One, a prestigious, well-connected, writer. The other, pure
Hello, quiet
chancer.
listener.
And then
Welcome to
the
the show.
other being completely unaware. In the center
Yep.
of the posh as hell neighborhood of Georgetown in DC, there's a house. A few, but I'm talking about, one. It doesn't stick out particularly from the other houses that sit beside, but who lived in it sure did. Now, Georgetown, it's famous for its architecture, its history, the university there, the embassies, and it is a rather pleasant place, which is why the storied Viola Drath lived there. She was a socialite, born and bred in Germany. Later becoming a correspondent, writer, lecturer, and a rub-a-dub-dub of elbows with, the type of people who live in Washington. To set the scene, she's the Brunhild to our Siegfried, right? And on the 12th of August, 2011, our Siegfried, aka Albert Moot, he's got a couple of AKAs, actually. We'll get to that. He called 911.
DC Emergency 911. How can I help you? If the police will come quickly, I've just found my wife dead on the bathroom floor. Okay. She's not breathing. No. She is clearly dead. Can you please send the police? Yes, please.
That's horrible. There's no fun. No fun at all there.
Albert Moot was the husband of Viola Drath, though there was a 44-year age difference. That's neat. But hey, come on. Nothing stands in the way of true love. Not even walkers. Frau Drath was 91 years of age. Fair play to her. Herr Moot, 47, and he had just returned from his morning walk, find her dead on the floor of their bathroom in that Georgetown neighborhood. The police arrived, and Albert, who I'll call Al from now on so I don't butcher the German, he was quick to clackety email an obituary to reporters saying, this, it was front page news, right? This well-connected socialite, she had died, he said, of head injuries, in the...
That's cool, Biggie. I like them stained glass things you do. They're really cool. I've got a whole bunch of sunside windows faces due east. I'm not showing my wife your channel yet. Not yet. We'll get there.
The bathroom, clack, dead. And when first responders and the police, they rocked up, that was their first reaction too. She was 91 years of age, she was an L1 in the bathroom, she must have been having a shower, slipped on some water, and she's off. But, as we see time and time again, appearances can be deceptive. Because later on, and I'm talking a while down the road, while in a hospital bed, our Al would say this about his dear beloved wife's death.
Who do you think murdered her?
The Iranians.
The Iranians?
Yes.
And why do you think the Iranians would have murdered
Wait,
your wife?
what?
There was no forced entry.
They had
on.
a key.
Hold on. Is this man going with the Back of the Future defense? Weren't they Iranians? Sassy.
He's a character, alright. So who was he? Well, let's first talk about Viola Drath. Viola was born in Dusseldorf, Germany in 1920, into a family that was doing well for themselves in a post-war Germany. They went on holidays a fair bit, she learned English at an early age.
I'm sorry, Sasquatch.
And as she, grew into adulthood, the theatre, my dear boy, that called to her. Not the stage, though. She became a playwright, living in the
Easily
Munich
distracted.
area, it seems. She was there throughout WW2. Not really much is known about what she was up to during the war, the second one. However, after the Second World War, while acting as an interpreter for the Americans, that's when she met and would marry Lieutenant Colonel Francis S. Strath, who was the United States Deputy Military Governor of Bavaria and a Kansas fella. According to herself, it was love at first sight. She worked for him as a translator, and swiftly, white dress, rings, all those shenanigans followed, with her moving to Nebraska shortly afterwards. When she moved, she wasn't, the type to be content at home, cooking, babying. She was, a hard worker and smart as a... She got a degree from the University of Nebraska, studying literature and philosophy. She was a writer for a German magazine in Nebraska, and a correspondent for one back home. And she quickly began rubbing elbows with the rich, the glamorous, the big dogs, and it suited her well. She had a couple of daughters. She would travel the world. And in the late 60s, they upped sticks and moved to Washington, D.C., where Viola became the political correspondent for a German magazine.
It finally worked. Yay. All right, so this is
That's when they bought
that chapter.
the house, the one that 40 years later, she'd be found dead in. So yeah, in Washington, she met politicians, she met artists, and she was well liked. She was an interesting person interested in interesting things. So, she started knowing the elite.
He does a weekly upload. Every once in a blue moon, he'll drop like a little short video that's something that just didn't pan out to a full video. All of them are excellently done. Wonderful visuals that he digs into like the individual case files, and sometimes will use evidence photos if they've been released. Oh, Woofy. Hold on, let me give you a good bite. Oh, Woofy. I shall invade with the narcissism, and that is what we do. Deadbug, Deadbug has a whole different gimmick. I mean, he's more entertaining with not quite as many details. And I'm not saying that he's worse. I'm just saying he's different. And Deadbug is good. I was gonna do his channel. I was gonna show Landis Expandus's new video because that warped my brain, bro. I appreciate you bringing me Landis. That's a beautiful channel. That man's gonna go very, very, very far. Woo, werewolves of London. Oh, bother. Yeah, no, Landis is great.
And then became. And it was in 1982, when she was at a news conference, that she met a young fella from her homeland. He was working as an intern for a Republican senator. He was a bit of a dick, but she liked that about him. I don't know why. He was entitled. He was arrogant. He name-dropped to impress. Check it out. He told these wild stories, like something out of a James Bond movie or whatever, and he was kind of a bit of a chubby from being around all this power. He took her to a schnitzel place and was hitting on the woman almost 5 decades his senior. However, she graciously turned down a young Albert Muth. 4 years later, her husband of all...
Did you hear his defense when they woke up and she was dead? Or they woke up in the hospital and they interviewed him? He said the Iranians did it. I figure it's the Back to the Future defense.
Almost 40 years, Francis Strath died after a battle with cancer. This was a big blow to Viola. He was her rock. He handled everything, and now she was alone with their children grown. And, well, Albert soon, he was, knocking on her door. In 1990, they married. At that time, Viola was 71, our Al, 26 years old. And that was Albert's key to being a part of, what he'd always wanted to be a part of. He often threw big parties, inviting big people, talking politicians, military men, journalists, all sorts of dignitaries. But who really was Al over here? Really? Well, it's difficult to say because I don't even think he knows. And how much Viola knew, well, that's a question we will never get an answer to. Did she really believe he was Count Albie who got the title of Count? He got that title the same way you might get it from a Nigerian prince online. Or how about that he was a member of the Iraqi Special Forces? And he would not wear underwear because of that. He'll be damned, because apparently the Iraqi Special Forces don't wear underwear. He told a lot of stories, and people were beginning to suspect a couple of things about our Albert. But the police, in August 2011, they were damn sure of something.
Curses, tinfoiled again. And you know, I'm not even mad about it. That's not true. I'm absolutely
She went to the medical examiner's office. Yes. And when she went to the medical examiner's office, the medical examiner performed the autopsy today.
Actually, after the show tonight, I was going to turn on some Vermintide, finish my little intro thing that I don't know if I actually finished. I did a bunch of it. I just played through for a while, and I think I'm through the intro. I don't know. It's a weird one. And then I'm going to put the game on and see how far I can get while we play music. I've got about 30 tracks over here and a handful of skits I did. And I wanted you to do me a skit for my radio show because, you know, you. It's Halloween thing. Do you, dude. Just be woofy. Holla at you. Dude, you are in my DMs farther than anyone else in this chat. Do not bring me that holla at me shit. Come to my house. Talk to me. Call and motivator, but not right this second, because I swear to God, I won't answer it.
And the result? And the result is that, you know, clearly the medical examiner's office believes that it is a murder. You're kidding? No. I don't know how. Well, excuse me, sir. That's the issue at hand, because the only two people that reside in the house is you and her, correct? And you see, do we have a time of death?
Well, it's pretty cool then, because I've also got time tapped for doing a live stream painting, like a Bob Ross on acid type skit, and MLH has a couple of bits we're negotiating on. I've got one of them loaded up for after the show anyway, because I've been trying to do a review of it for a minute, and every time I do it, I end up like 12 people in my backstage, and I end up just sidetracked all to oblivion. But I'm not going to get sidetracked today. Today, I've got multiple Red Bulls and time. So, we're going to do it. Let's do it. You like to listen to puddles? Okay. I feel like I'm missing something here. Oh, I guess I am missing something. There you go. Where's the button?
No, sir. But clearly, you know, the two of you have keys to the house, correct? Does anybody have keys to the house? I'm not sure. No, I don't think so, because the daughter asked for one. I don't think so. No. Okay. No other keys. No other keys in the house. Clearly, you told us that the doors were engaged. Yeah. Locked. Those doors were locked. Nobody could have come. I mean, yeah. So, clearly, when the medical examiner is telling us... We know it's a murder, but we don't know how. I mean, the medical examiner will tell us how, but she clearly has ruled it as a murder. She has put it as a murder? Yes. Okay. And clearly, you know, that's why we need to know, to know your whereabouts, and clearly, you know, but should we then know how? How do we? Well, I mean, as soon as the medical examiner tells us it finishes, we'll know exactly the details of it. But clearly, do you understand our concern.
You should be. Yeah.
And, that, the two of you reside in the same household.
Yes.
Clearly, she was very kind with her money with you, and now there are some
That's name.
Sir, I'm very positive.
What do you do? Let's find out. We're fixing to do we're going to do some YouTube paleontology. Watch how this happens. Ooh. We got the Black Dahlia. We got some individual referred to as Bobby Stout. We have, what do we got? $7 months. With an intro. That's lovely. Would you mind if we check out your intro? I love channels I've never seen, especially crime channels. Mostly doing live streams, I see. Yeah. You should really get into some editing. A few shorts blow your channel right up. You've got enough programming there to go for it. Let's see.
Very positive.
But we haven't done time of death yet.
No, sir. The medical examiner will tell us more tomorrow.
So it's basically just you and your wife at home. You and your wife are at home, and your wife is killed.
So you tell me. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're not telling you because we're not the professionals to tell you. We're just going with what the forensic pathologist told us.
Good.
And clearly, we can only go but what the doctor says. We can't determine, we can't rule any, case a homicide. The pathologist rules that as a homicide.
Yeah, it's a picture. It's not a pleasant picture.
And clearly, we want to know if maybe it was an act. How does a woman inside her own home
with her husband?
With her husband.
That's yours to find out. I have no idea.
But did you kill him?
It was finally time for...
I'm so distracted by this.
See? Amazing. Al was not... Can we turn that down? Just... Amazingly, he was not
Damn
the
it,
general
Lorenzo, turn
he
it down.
claimed to be. In fact, he had this suit custom made in South Carolina. Not a whole lot is truly known about him, but we can piece together a few.
Wait, my homie here, he managed to marry an interpreter for some such or another, pretends that he's some kind of royalty from royal families that don't exist, and then invented his own Turkish uniform to wear around as if he were some kind of general or something. This is gonna go great.
Bits and bobs. Born in 1964 in Cologne, Germany. His mother was in the Christian Democratic Party, a German political party. His father was a doctor in the German army,
Welcome to
dying
the show.
when Albrecht was a baby. Albrecht was happily living with Viola. As he would later say, this.
Your wife was 44 years older than you.
That's correct.
Why did you want to marry her?
Marriage of convenience for both of us.
Meaning?
She provided the stage, I provided the play.
But he would do everything for her. She wasn't alone, and that was her fear. And in return, he was gaining access to the upper class. He would read newspapers for her. He would run around doing...
She provided the... What? Hey, strange and unusual. Welcome to the show, Brad. I'm Zaxxon. Good to see you. What? He said what?
living with Viola. As he would later say, this.
Your wife was 44 years older than you.
That's correct.
Why did you want to marry her?
Marriage of convenience for both of us.
Okay.
Meaning?
She provided the stage, I provided the play.
But he would do everything for her. She wasn't alone, and that.
She provided the stage. He provided the play. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is an example of narcissism 101. This individual firmly believes that everyone in his persona and in his personal vicinity is totally concerned with what he's doing. And having these news cameras here is a beautiful thing. Really, it's a beautiful thing. This man's eating it up. That's absolutely amazing. Wow. Right? Cotter pin. Bend it. Do me a favor. Go back and bend it. You're giving me hives over here, man. I'm not even joking. I'm just wondering if your tire's out there falling off currently.
That was her fear. And in return, he was gaining access to the upper class. He would read newspapers for her. He would run around doing basically whatever, anything she needed. He'd cook for her. All that kind of.
Wolfie, I want you to grab your phone tomorrow. When you think of something stupid somebody did, you grab your phone, you look at it, you tell that story to me. And send it to me. And I'll cut it up and make a short out of it, or 5, or whatever it is. But maybe I'll put some beautiful woman putting makeup on over it or something. I don't know. We'll do something neat with it.
Kind of shit. He was less like a husband to her and more like what he used to be. An intern. She was his way into power. And she had money, though they lived frugally in that Georgetown house. She gave him a monthly allowance of about $1,800. He would impress the dignitaries who arrived to Viola's parties with tales of spy work, planting listening devices while as an agent for East Germany, working for the UN in war zones, serving in the French Foreign Legion. He also liked his props, which included an eye patch, a cigar, and a riding crop. And he didn't just keep this, 2 parties. He would email his media contacts, tales of his exploits and other juicy gossip he would hear at these parties. And I'm sure those reporters and journalists read those stories in the way that you might patiently listen to a child tell you a story.
The audience, they had a key.
That's nice. But he did find his way into prestigious conferences, helped, as he referred to himself as Count Albi, a title given to him by a distant relative who fell off an elephant. And he even had his own crest to go with it. Very believable how he became Count Albert, and he would sign everything and introduce himself as Count Albert. And people, I'm
You talking about that fresh grandma smell? Oh yeah, baby.
sure there was like, well, I mean, he sounds like some European nobility or whatever. He's some Habsburg motherfucker. In 1999, he really tried to get his name in the stratosphere when he formed the Eminent Persons Group, intended to advise the UN, which featured current Pakistani President Imran Khan and former US Defense Secretary Robert McNamara, a former French president, and was financed by conspiracy boogeyman George Soros. So, to be clear, Albert bullshitted his way into pretty much everything. All of it was, he just gained access via Viola's reputation, and people slowly began to catch on to his incalculable lies. And he would get into trouble for domestic violence, beating Viola many times, beginning in 1992. He'd be arrested 4 times for it. He was also gay, a secret he stopped keeping from Viola very, very quickly. He even moved in with his boyfriend for a time. He just didn't really give a shit, so I can't imagine that came as a surprise to her. He also beat 7 shades of shite out of his boyfriend. After one particularly vicious beating he gave Viola in 2006, though, she had enough. He fled. He fled, and he would for a couple of years. According to Albert, he went to Iraq, where he went by the name Sheikh Ali al-Muthaba, working with insurgents there to try and end, the ongoing conflicts. He was going to be a peace man between, the Taliban and all the other guys who were blowing the shit out of each other. The emails and calls he made regarding his work in Iraq, they'd later be traced to a hotel in Miami where he was in fact working as a desk clerk.
No, don't do that to me. I don't like them. They're inappropriate and wrong. Limited time. And never settle for less. What is on fire?
So he really is some man for one man. He eventually returned to Georgetown in 2008. Of course, when he returned, he was now a member of the Iraqi Special Forces General Military, all that stuff. He came back in the uniform. When he did return, he somehow managed to bullshit his way into like dinners and ceremonies with actual Iraqi generals. But yeah, he even had this little memorial in Arlington for people killed in the Iraq War, and dignitaries attended. But by that stage, Viola was being seen less and less, and Albert was being barred more and more from the various places he used to establish, as people just realized, wow, he's full of shit. The night before he dialed 911, he went out and got drunk on a date, returning home at 10 p.m. completely flutered. The next morning at about 8 a.m. he called the police.
She is clearly dead.
The police arrived, noticing, hey, you got a little scratchiola on your forehead. What's the deal? That same day, when she was found dead, before her body was even taken out of the house, he went up to her children. She had 2 daughters and then a couple of grandkids and all that. He went up to them with a document, signed by Viola, saying that if she died, he could get about $200,000. It was clearly a fake signature. The police would investigate the house, the crime scene, for about 4 days, and they wouldn't let Al back into.
Sass is kind of, Snass and Snark. Sass and Snark. See, there's too many Sasses around here. Sass and Snark over here has a sensitive disposition and the ability to obliviate you into non-existence. To just keep that in mind. On the other hand, mandatory carry wouldn't care less what you say. It wouldn't block you unless you physically did something. It's an interesting group we have here.
To the house, obviously. Crime scene. So during those 4 days, he slept in the park.
Because that's what dignitaries do.
Well, did you kill him?
I did not kill my wife.
You did not kill your wife?
No. Am I under suspicion?
Well, I just have if it's just
That
you.
is a legal question. Am I a suspect? Oh, of course I'm a suspect. That's correct.
I mean, it's just you and your wife at home?
Yes.
And your wife ends up murdered?
Yes, I get your picture.
Yeah.
Good. What do we do?
Well, I mean, that's why we came to you for answers. I mean,
I don't have them. I'm still a little bit high, a little bit quite shocked by the revelations it was a murder. But we don't know how. We only know it's a murder.
I mean, when she's rolling in a murder, she's going to give us the details tomorrow. What she found.
Sure.
Well, how do you think she was killed?
I mean, you saw her there.
You saw.
I have no idea.
You have no idea.
How could I if the pathologist doesn't know?
Well, clearly you killed her.
Good.
Did you see any weapons in the house?
No, there are no weapons in the house.
Do you have weapons in the house?
No.
Guns, knives?
Well, yeah, kitchen knives, yeah. Good.
Do you think she might have been shot, stabbed?
I think the pathologist would have caught on to that.
Oh, well, I would hope so, too.
Good.
I mean, so no weapons, nothing in the house?
No weapons in the house. How can I give an explanation if you don't even know the cause of death or the time? So, I mean, the first indication would be, how she was murdered, since the pathologist thinks she was murdered or says she was murdered. And the next question is, what the time frame is?
Well,
Then we look and hope that it's before 9 o'clock.
Before 9 o'clock
p.m.
Thursday.
Yeah, because I would have been with the ambassador. So.
Well, who would have killed her before 9 o'clock?
I do not know.
Because you said the house was secure when you got home, correct?
Correct.
And there's nobody else with keys, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So how would she have?
I'm not going to speculate, sir. Are you in the business of speculation?
No, we're not in the business.
So we're just trying to get an explanation.
I really can't. I mean, I'm still under the shock of the revelation it was a murder. I have no idea how. I really don't have no idea how. That coffee is not coming.
Let me check on the coffee.
You want cream and sugar?
Cream would be nice, thank you.
Yes.
The medical examiner found Viola's scalp was bruised, her nails torn, broken ribs, and her neck fractured. She had been beaten and strangled to death. Hier sind sie groß Scheiße. Mein Gott, Helmut. He was charged with second-degree murder on the 16th of August 2011. Witnesses would say he had a proven history of abuse. And at the presumed time of the murder, when he came in drunk, a neighbor heard, at about 3 a.m., a faint cry and a sinister laugh coming from the house.
When police were called last August to this home in upscale Georgetown, the bathroom seemed the scene of a terrible accident. Viola Drath, a well-known D.C. socialite, was dead. As a journalist, she had written for many influential publications. She had kept company with the rich and powerful. Her husband, Albrecht Muth, told police he found the body, and according to Keith Alexander with the Washington Post, he gave a plausible story.
In the beginning, he was saying that she fell and she hit her head, and that's what happened.
It was a tragic accident.
It was a tragic accident. She was 91 years old.
Although Muth, at age 47, was 44 years younger than Drath, coming along after her first husband died, they had been married more than 20 years, united in part by a shared German background. Neighbors like Paige Robinson thought him peculiar.
And it's true that he would walk around in these outfits that were army outfits, and he would have a cigar, and he was a bit eccentric, for sure.
Did you think he was in the military?
No.
But within hours of the body being found, police were turning up evidence that suggested...
On his computer, after the murder, police found evidence of internet searches on flights to Iceland, extradition arrangements with Mexico, and crossing the Canadian border.
You murdered her.
I did not murder my wife.
You murdered your wife.
I did not murder my wife.
You're a sadistic person. You murdered your wife.
I did not murder my wife.
You're a monster.
Well, thank you for the compliment.
You're a 140-pound monster.
Thank you for the compliment.
Al proclaimed his innocence, his defense saying there was a lack of evidence.
Who do you think murdered her?
Iranians.
The Iranians?
Yes.
And why do you think the Iranians would have murdered your wife? There was no forced entry.
They had a key.
It was the Iranians. Duh! He worked for the Iraqi army, and I don't think they like each other very much at all.
I'll forget everything about myself the minute I go before the judge. Tomorrow, I will be completely loony.
You already loony. But I'm going to tell you right now.
And tomorrow, I will be certified.
A judge has declared the man accused of killing his 91-year-old wife incompetent to represent himself at trial. A doctor testified today that Albrecht Muth is at risk of sudden death after 2 months of refusing to eat while in custody. Muth claims the angel Gabriel has told him not to eat. He's accused of beating Viola Drath to death inside their Georgetown row house. The trial is set to begin March 25th.
He later fired his lawyer and wanted to represent himself. And he would be declared incompetent to stand trial after he went on hunger strike in jail. And he also said he was visited by the Archangel Gabriel, so
but you can
there you go.
Fish.
And evaluations, multiple psychiatric evaluations were done on him.
So yes, I mean, I am basically where I am because I'm the convenient suspect from the beginning. The police zeroed in on me. No, of course not. I wasn't even there when she was killed.
Where were you?
I was out. I did not return to the house till approximately 10 o'clock.
But basically you're killing yourself doing this.
No, I'm not killing myself. I'm opposed to killing myself. I'm a Roman Catholic.
So you'll start eating if it gets serious?
I will start eating when I'm so commanded.
He would later be found competent to stand trial as much as he tried to dodge it.
After a lengthy psychiatric evaluation, Albrecht Muth has now been deemed competent to stand trial. Doctors say while his behavior may have appeared bizarre and his beliefs delusional, it was all an act.
The charge against Al would later be upped to first degree. As the trial ramped up, it became pretty clear what happened for such a mysterious person. Viola was gonna kick him out. Finally, she had enough, and she'd cut him out of her will. She'd cut him out of everything. Albrecht knew this. He got drunk, and he went home and killed her. And like I said, before her body was even removed from the house, he went to her family. She signed this saying, I can have 200 grand, so cough it up. In January 2014, a jury found him guilty of first-degree murder, and he was sentenced to 50 years in prison, where he remains to this day. What a guy he was. His story just gets more insane as it progresses. Some guy, Mr. Moot, some chancer. He got away with it for some time too, which is impressive. I mean, he was a complete and total monster for what he did to Viola, such a prestigious and accomplished person. But to get there, I'm still kind of almost impressed. Still though, how anybody could believe his bullshit is amazing to me. Though, I mean, this whole story is set in Washington, D.C., where there's lots of politicians, and they're always full of shit anyway, so he fit right in. It's gonna be hard to beat this guy.
This is my favorite part of the video.
Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch the whole video to the point where we are now, which is at the end, in case you didn't notice. I'm sure you did. Go on. Here, I'll see you as always real soon in the next whole video. Until then, you know it. You know what I'm going to say. It's that I just want you to take care of yourself.
I say take care of yourself. One more person. Right? I'm not sure where I heard that one, but I heard it somewhere. I always thought it was a real good line. Even if it's, more or less trash, it's still a real good one. All right, we're going to take us a little bit of an intermission. I'm going to grab maybe a cup of coffee, maybe another Red Bull. I don't know. And I'll be right back. After these messages, we'll be right back.
Yeah, let's go. I ain't the first with the curse, with the thirst that I wanna be better, not worse, man, it hurts. I'm on this earth with my words and I put them all together, insert, cause I wanna have worth. Working hella hard till they put me in the dirt. Gonna go far, man, listen to my words. Gonna be a star, man, life's like a blur. When you're working this hard, yeah, you get what you deserve. Yeah, I ain't taking a backseat, I'm passing anybody else who is rapping. I'm nasty, ain't nobody able to catch me. They gasping, they cannot compare, they can't match me. I'm at half speed, I got your girl and she laughing and dancing, hanging on my butt, she asking to crash with me, smash with me, she savage, she wants cash money, and she knows that I live lavishly, I wanna live, I'm cold inside, gave all I have just to feel alive, I fight to live, I fight to strive, one day I'll have what I want. I want the whole world in the palm of my hand, I got a plan, I'm the man, now I'm teaching the game, a veteran, better than anybody else who tests me, I'm ready, looking at my hand and it's steady, I'm trending, ascending and blending, lyrical bending, now I'm spreading and getting my name out now, yeah, they hearing me laugh, all the crowds repping the sound, I'm hitting the ground, running, up and coming, ain't nothing, yeah, rookie of the year, I'ma keep it 100, cold-blooded, no budget, from nothing to something, I ain't bluffing, I got a full hand and a full plan, I ain't gonna stop till I'm at the top, man, every single drop got me feeling awesome, I'm about to pop, started from the bottom, yeah, I wanna live, I'm cold inside, gave all I have just to feel alive, I fight to live, I fight to strive, one day I'll have what I want in life.
Hello again. It is a very strange coincidence that within 24 hours of fanatical Remainer Jeremy Hunt being appointed Chancellor of the Exchequer, the words
No sounds. Right. Okay. Well, what are bong hits for 1,000, Alex? Why you gonna call me out like that, man? Like, I'll be over here trying to do some stuff. I ain't got me a little Red Bull. Gonna do some more stuff later. It's all right. You ain't got to be mean about it. I mean, geez. I thought that was a 5-minute intermission, not a 3-minute intermission. Sue me or something. I don't know what to tell you. That's unfortunate. Anyway, this is Simon Webb, and he may have been responsible for the some of the collection of history books that you used through school. He was involved in writing the bits that were used in a bunch of those. So if the name sounds familiar, that might be why. He was also involved, I think, in some dictionary work, and so he's got a kind of an oddly unique view of the world, I guess you could say. Well, that sucks.
Hello again. It is a very strange coincidence that within 24 hours of fanatical Remainer Jeremy Hunt being appointed Chancellor of the Exchequer, the words Project Fear were trending on Twitter. For those who don't know about this, Project Fear was the informal name given to concerted efforts by politicians who opposed Britain leaving the European Union and predicted terrible consequences, such as economic disaster. It is perfectly true that there have been terrible things happening lately. Not only, of course, with the British economy, but other European countries as well. However, we are now being told that Project Fear was right all along, and the reason the British economy is in a pickle has nothing to do with a succession of useless chancellors. We are now on the 4th Chancellor of the Exchequer in 4 months. But rather, it's all because we left Europe. Even the Daily Telegraph, which has always been keen on Brexit, had an article in yesterday's edition by Jeremy Warner, the assistant editor. And it had a very bold headline, Project Fear was right all along. I give a link to this piece in the description to this video. What are we to make of all this, I wonder? Can it really be true that if we hadn't left Europe, the British economy would be sailing along cheerfully with none of the bumps and glitches caused by the war in Ukraine or the crisis in fuel prices? I confess myself to be a little dubious about this. Not least because this about turn by the Telegraph comes the very day after Jeremy Hunt was installed as Chancellor. Some people are saying that Hunt is now effectively in charge of the government and that Liz Truss is powerless. This is all very alarming. I'm maybe old-fashioned, but I do like to know who's actually running the country. Of course, economics, like so many other subjects, is something about which I know very little. If the rest of Europe and the world were getting...
And cupcakes. I brought cupcakes to the dark side. We have cookies and cupcakes now, which is acceptable. We need some coffee on the dark side, which is also a possibility. Coffee, chocolate. What else do you need? Cupcakes.
Getting along famously and only Britain was in difficulties, then I suppose that I could see why Brexit might be at least partly to blame. From all I can see, though, we're not the only country in trouble. Sweden and Italy have both turned to right-wing parties in recent elections for this very reason, because the world seems to be in something of a crisis. Germany is the most enthusiastic member of the European Union, and yet its economy...
I'm pretty sure the dark side's Temple of Power is in the Big Rock Candy Mountain. So all of that's available. Yep.
Economy is on the verge of recession due to the drying up of supplies of fuel from Russia. Those same fears have caused predictions for the Italian economy that there will be zero growth in that country next year. Everywhere we look, it's the same story. And yet, in Britain alone, the reason is that we chose to leave Europe. I have a horrible idea that reversing Brexit is going to be offered as a way of curing all Britain's problems if Jeremy Hunt remains at the Treasury. All those professional politicians who wanted to remain in Europe have been waiting for just such a chance as this, and with the leadership in 10 Downing Street so feeble, this may be their chance to press for a move back to Europe. Watch out for more newspapers claiming that Project Fear was right all along, and that the only salvation for this country is to rejoin Europe.
Good to see you, Workline. Welcome to the show, Ghost Eagle. It's good to see you too. All right, so this next channel, that was History Debunked by Simon Webb, Simon Webb, I'm pretty sure. And he just kind of has this level-headed look at how things are going in Britain and UK and whatnot. And while I don't necessarily agree with everything that he does or says, rather, he has an interesting, like, old fogey turn of view about things, and it tickles me. He's got this really old English dry sense of humor. It's beautiful. Yeah, you gotta refoop. Yeah, we're definitely got to get that up on screen. Huh. Apparently my Discord's open somewhere. I bet that's why everything's going to hell in a basket.
In the 1970s...
This is casual navigation. It was actually, I was turned on to casual navigation by Data's Law Mandatory Carry. We were going to do a review on it a few months ago, and I got distracted by other crap. You know how I am. YouTubers are flaky. What can I say? That's going to get clipped. Casual navigation.
The Liverpool Bridge was one of 6 sisters of oboe combination carriers built on the River Tees. At 91,655 tons and almost 1,000 feet in length, she was the largest ship of her class and the last one ever built. As an oboe carrier, she was designed to carry either liquid bulk cargoes like oil or solid bulk cargo like iron ore. The idea is that they're more efficient than ships designed to carry a single cargo. Think of your typical crude oil tanker. They would carry cargo away from oil-producing nations, but then need to return empty. To increase efficiency, you just need your ship to be able to carry a different cargo on the return passage, hence the oil-bulk-oil or oboe combination. Anyway, in 1978, 2 years after entering service, the Liverpool Bridge was renamed and given her final name, Derbyshire. It was a name that would go down in history as the largest British-registered ship ever lost at sea. Her final voyage began like any other. She departed 7 islands in Canada with a cargo of roughly 158,000 tons of iron ore, bound for Yokohama in Japan. Now, iron ore is quite a dense cargo, meaning that when you transport it by sea, you're going to run out of buoyancy before you run out of space. In other words, you can't fill your holds. The Derbyshire partially loaded most of her holds and kept a few others completely empty. While that was necessary due to the density of the cargo, it would play a significant role in her loss later on. On leaving Canada, she set off taking a southerly route through the Atlantic towards the Cape of Good Hope. As a Cape-sized vessel, she was too big to fit through either the Suez or Panama canals. After rounding the Cape, Derbyshire turned towards the northeast.
Did y'all notice that I seem to have figured out my little glitchy YouTube player thing? Get this. It's this thing. I'm not even going to touch it. It's my banners in StreamYards. For some strange reason, when a banner is running, my YouTube has problems playing the video that's visible and no other video. All the rest of them, you can play them all at the same time. They'll play no problem. But the one that's actually on the OBS times out. But if I don't use my banners in StreamYards, it's not a problem. So this last update did some really strange things. And I still haven't quite come to terms with it.
For her passage across the Indian Ocean towards Japan. As she approached her destination, however, the weather started to deteriorate. Typhoon Orchid was closing in on her position. When it comes to ships and tropical revolving storms, even today navigators are taught how dangerous they can be and how to deal with them. Very crudely, In the northern hemisphere, you've got a vortex in the middle and winds circulating anti-clockwise. The storm travels in this direction and you can expect that it's going to curve up and around. This is all due to the Coriolis force and the rotation of the Earth, so it's fairly standardised for all storms. If we break the storm up into different quadrants, you can start to see the actions that you need to take. This is known as the dangerous quadrant. The winds tend to blow you into the path of the storm and you could expect the vortex to turn towards your direction. The same sort of thing applies in this quadrant, though to a slightly lesser extent. Either way, you really don't want to be on this side of the storm, so...
Actually, y'all probably didn't hear none of that. Drop your link, please, AJOT. Let everybody know who you is. Big hugs, Snarks. Good to see you. I appreciate it.
You'd put the wind on your starboard bow and do your best to get away. On this side of the storm, however, you've got a little bit of an easier time. It's known as the navigable semicircle. Generally, the wind will blow you away from the path of the storm and you can expect that the vortex shouldn't curve in your direction. In the navigable semicircle, you can put the wind on your starboard quarter and try to get away. So, going back to the Derbyshire, she was approaching Japan from the south and the storm was approaching from the east. Running ahead of it, straight into the dangerous quadrant, obviously wasn't an option. They would need to wait for it to pass ahead of them first. On the 9th of September 1980, just over 200 miles off Okinawa, she hove to with the intention of riding out the storm. She sent a radio message reporting that she was stormbound in Typhoon Orchid and that she was going to wait it out. It was the last message ever received from the ship. On the 13th of September, after not hearing anything in 4 days, the ship's owners raised the alarm. Patrol boats and reconnaissance planes started searching when the weather eased. They found an oil slick, but no physical evidence of the ship. 6 weeks later, one of the Derbyshire's lifeboats was found by a Japanese tanker hundreds of miles away, showing signs that it had been violently ripped from its davits. After that, it would be almost 20 years before anything more was known. The wreck was eventually located around 2.5 miles underwater, scattered over almost a mile of sea floor. Numerous diving expeditions gave enough evidence to determine the most likely sequence of events from decades earlier. It's thought that as the storm approached, wind and waves began to build, crashing over the bow of the ship. On most ships, there's a raised forecastle offering extra protection in this area, but on the Derbyshire, you can see that the protection is lacking. Her forecastle is flush with the rest of the deck. As the waves continued to pound her bow, protective covers over ventilation pipes broke free. Seawater got into the forward stores and ballast areas, causing the bow to sit lower and lower in the water. As the bow got lower, the large cargo hatches became more exposed to the waves that were continuing to build. Eventually, the hatch covering number 1 hold gave way and allowed hundreds, maybe thousands of tons of water straight in. As number 1 hold filled up, the bow got lower still, leading to hatch 2 giving way as well. Remember what we said at the beginning about the density of the cargo and the empty holds she needed to maintain enough buoyancy? Well, when the hatches give way, empty holds leave an awful lot of space for seawater. Within minutes, pretty much all the hatch covers had given way and the entire hull was underwater. Derbyshire was on her way to the bottom of the ocean. As she sank lower, her double-hulled design caused a series of explosive decompressions, twisting the hull and scattering the wreck across a mile of sea floor. The whole thing happened so quickly, no one had the chance to get away.
Thank you, AJ.
Sadly, the Derbyshire was just one of many bulk carriers that have been lost over the years. Their large holds and dense cargoes make these ships incredibly vulnerable in the event of flooding. As such, bulk carriers are now fitted with water ingress monitoring systems. They're designed to give the crew more warning of flooding. They're not the same as bilge alarms on other vessels. When a water ingress monitoring alarm activates, it needs to be treated as the highest category emergency situation. The crew will immediately look for signs the vessel's taking on water. A list, excessive trim, dislodged hatch covers and things like that. Other crew members will prepare survival craft while the cause of the alarm is investigated. If the flooding situation is confirmed and the water depth is greater than the depth of the hull, there's a good chance the crew will need to take to a lifeboat. In the case of the Derbyshire, it's estimated that the ship was lost within 2 or 3 minutes of the hatch on number 1 hold being breached. Any sign of water ingress, even on the most modern bulk carriers, could have the same consequence.
So basically, Wave got over the bow, dislodged one of the hatches, the front hatch specifically. And since the waves were already getting over the bow, it probably went down. What would you say, Carrie? 20 minutes? Less? A good 20 waves, maybe? That thing would have went down like a meteor. Full of iron ore, too? Man. What's up, Mike's car hole? Okay. All right. Derbyshire. Yeah. It's a weird one. It's got some of the, I don't know, they do it. They
with the
do
rest of the deck.
Screwed up. There we go. Right about there. They were these guys do a really good job on it. 5 minutes? Yeah, no, I didn't think it was long at all. I mean, it's full of iron ore, and once you can displace the air with water, the air goes right out. It would look like a whale blowing a blowhole and be gone. Just like, it's gone.
If the flooding situation is confirmed and the water depth is greater than the depth of the hull, there's a good chance the crew will need to take to a lifeboat. In the case of the Derbyshire, it's estimated that the ship was lost within 2 or 3 minutes of the hatch on number 1 hold being breached. Any sign of water ingress, even on the most modern bulk carriers, could have the same consequences. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Hopefully you've gained something from this and enjoyed learning about the Derbyshire. Don't forget, we're over on...
And they have an absolute metric ton of content over here. I mean, over 100 videos easy. And it's all just as interesting as that. One of my favorites, there's one here about lifeboats. What's inside a lifeboat? That's a pretty good one. I always wanted to take a lifeboat and turn it into like a mobile home, for lack of a better term. I don't know. Houseboat doesn't quite fit because it's not a houseboat, it's a lifeboat. Virtually unsinkable. Oh, look who we got.
One day, but kind of lost interest there because it was just so repetitive. Same thing happening every season.
Complain about stuff and fuss at people.
You can only defeat the devil so many times.
Oh, yeah, no.
Then when they started making God the bad guy and switching things around just to subvert expectations, I was like, okay, I'm done.
They're talking about, what is it, Angel, I imagine? Supernatural. Yeah, they put out a video about every 2 weeks, and occasionally there's a little short one that'll pop up it's just, I guess, something that didn't fit into a video, maybe. But yeah. Dude, could you imagine standing at the back end of that boat and hearing something go patink and then your feet got wet that quick? Yeah, the Nutty Putty Cave incident, that's, hold on. What's the name of that channel? Deified? Is that it? Hold up. That's a really good one. I can't remember the name of the channel. Mr. Deified, that's it. Yeah. That's exactly it. If y'all aren't familiar with this one. Yeah. He's already in my search. How about them apples? I got it. All right. Now, if the Nutty Putty Cave incident is within the last like 4 months, I'm not going to do it. I'll do something older so that you got to go look for the Nutty Putty Cave because that one's crazy. But he covers like different, like extreme activity gone wrong. So people who climb mountains and get lost or fall off cliffs somewhere, or they're doing like extreme hiking, and they just, yeah, it's a real horror channel. These are real things that are just picking people off left, right, and center, like cave diving. Cave diving is one of those things like skydiving where a single error in any part of what you do is an immediate death sentence. You have 3 breaths to death. In the case of jumping out of an airplane, you have until you hit the ground. That's it. You can't fix it. You're screwed. You're gonna have to tell me. You're gonna have to lie to me and tell me that this plane's going down. Just look me straight in the face and say, "Well, never save it. The plane's going down. I'll put on the parachute and jump." But until you tell me that, I think I can land it. Pretty sure. Did I miss it? 2 months. Cave diving. Cave exploring. Yeah, he did a bunch of diving videos a while back. Yeah, the mountain climbing ones are real good. He goes all out on the mountain climbing ones. I think he specifically personally likes the mountain climbing ones. And he does a video about every 4 days or so, 5 days. He's very prolific. They're not terribly long. I mean, they're 20 minutes. They'll get you through cooking your eggs in the morning, cup of coffee or whatever. Yeah, this guy. 3 months. Oh, that's on the edge. We'll try it. I mean, I imagine somebody somewhere is probably going to copyright claim this whole thing, right? I mean, certainly. This is Mr. Deified. Yeah, see it on screen.
Cecilia Lopez Tercero grew up caving, but quickly realized he had a talent for moving through tight spaces and is fearless.
That's what she said.
His friends marveled at his ability to lead and map out the dangers of a cave while discovering interesting parts of the cave. Cecilio has an excellent memory and is motivated to map out new caves and search for archaeological wonders inside them. Pushing the boundaries of cave exploration is his lifeblood, and he is a connoisseur of complex cave systems. The thrill of discovering something new in the world made all of Cecilio's risks while caving.
That's another good story. And there's a few different YouTubers that have tried it. And I can't remember the guy who did the good one. He's not a caver. He's like a mountain climber or something. And he does like high altitude rescues and stuff. And he goes through and like does all sorts of like opposing extreme reactions. And you can just see his skin crawling when he's talking about this guy with an air tank tries to climb through a hole that a midget couldn't fit through. And he takes his air tank off, calmly passes it through the hole, climbs in behind it, puts it back on, and goes on. Hell no. No, sir. No. Not even with a diving helmet. Nope. Nope. Just no.
Worth it. Some of the caves have not been fully explored for thousands of years, and Cecilio considered it his duty to search these caves and report his findings to museums. He wanted to be known and have his name cemented in history. Cecilio is a 44-year-old Spanish explorer.
Yeah, no.
He has been caving and
not just no, but hell no. I'm not even going to sit outside and wait for you crackers to die. I'm going to be back at the bar and have no clue you ever went in there. I'm going to find out with everybody else. But I'm not going to be with you when you go in there. And it's nothing personal. It's just Sasquatch don't go in caves like that. Sorry. We don't swim that far. Not so big about breathing air out of a bottle either. I don't know about that. Just nope. No, sir.
Diving for over 22 years. While a member of the Madrid rescue group for over 15 years, he has helped others get out of extremely dangerous caves in Europe. In Spain, the most complicated rescue Cecilio was a part of involved hip fracture in a deep cave. As a result of these experiences, he is one of the most well-known cave rescuers in Spain. He has been to Mexico, Uzbekistan, Italy, and various other countries so far, but Peru is the country that he is drawn to the most for its uncharted, technical, and deep caves. There are many unexplored caves with the potential to provide significant archaeological breakthroughs. The caves in Peru would offer
You know, Carrie, I'm not trying to be pedantic, but you are coasty, correct? You can swim, right? You're not one of those weirdos out there in the ocean can't freaking swim. That's absurd to me. Hey, what's up, Arnett? Welcome to the show, bud. Fresh cut red cedar smells of mustard. At least it does to you. Try some old cypress. Get you a good like an abrasion blade, like a diamond blade type thing, and cut through some of that thin old horse feather cypress that used to be put up on plantation walls. And that stuff smells like almost like burned feathers. Almost. It's got a really acrid mustardy / burned something or other kind of smell to it. But you can't use a normal blade on it because the fibers are so dry, it splits them long ways, right? So either you have to humidify it enough to be able to use a blade, or you use an abrasion blade. Okay, well, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of long swimming distances either, but I'm not carrying my happy ass out onto a freaking ocean liner. I don't know. I guess it depends on whose boat it is and stuff, maybe, perhaps.
Cecilio a chance to make his life a movie, and he was on the hunt for the ultimate experience there. One day, Cecilio met a friend for lunch near his home in Spain, and the friend told him about the cave he was studying, named Imtimache Cave. This cave is located in northern Peru, and the name means Cave of the Sun in the local Quechua language in Peru's Amazon region. The cave is exceptionally long and deep. It is rarely visited because it is hard to navigate. The friend hooked Cecilio after he mentioned it was the second deepest cave in Peru and was rumored to have extreme archaeological potential. This cave is just starting to get attention from museums and other cavers like Cecilio. So the race was on for him to be the first to explore the uncharted parts of this cave. Cecilio hurried home after lunch to immediately start learning more about this cave. After studying and evaluating the cave, he planned the trip to visit. He got a small team of explorers to join him on this journey and prepared to explore it at the end of August 2013. Cecilio made it clear it was a volunteer mission and that the expedition would be dangerous because ropes would need to be used for 80% of the navigation of the cave. It is incredibly claustrophobic with narrow spaces and shafts. The cave is a sinkhole that is longer than 1.5 miles and more than 1,200 feet in total depth. It is filled with sharp rocks and riddled with deep pits throughout the cave that can be as deep as 600 feet. The pits are hard to notice and can appear randomly, which obstruct the view ahead. The temperature can drop below 50 degrees Fahrenheit, 10 degrees Celsius, and the humidity stays around an oppressive 100%. Working your way through the meandering, confined walls of the cave is challenging if you have caving experience, but it is almost impossible to keep a calm head otherwise. This cave is exceptionally challenging due to these factors and is a death sentence for anyone who enters who is not an expert at caving and climbing. The owner of the land, Javier Farge, collaborated with the team on the expedition and is the original person to discover the cave. He warned Cecilio and the group about the dangers and archaeological opportunities the cave had to offer. He also told them that if they dared to explore the uncharted parts of this cave, got injured, rescue was impossible. The reason for this is because of the remoteness and vertical nature of the cave. They would die down there. These warnings did not deter the team. The first trip consisted of exploring the previously charted parts of the cave. They realized towards the end of their days at the site that there was much more uncharted parts of the cave to explore. On the first trip, they did find some archaeological remains, but just took photos. They plan to bring back some of their findings upon the return of a second trip to the cave.
That is absolutely great. You know, that's a handy little knob until it's not. Over here coughing up a lung trying to keep that from being an issue. You live in the desert and you'll stick to snakes and earthquakes. Fucking earthquake. The ground moves, we moving. We're going somewhere else, man. That's and also ain't supposed to explode neither. So those of y'all over there by Mount Rainier and all that, y'all can have it too. It might be beautiful. Absolutely. I'll visit. I ain't staying long though. Sorry. You wouldn't believe it, would you? I guess I could do a pretty good mime. All right. So what I was saying. What does that say? There it is. Yeah, no. What humidity does in the cold is create a 2-inch hoarfrost on the outside of your car that requires a chisel to get into. You wake up in the morning and the ground's fine. You can drive. Everybody's driving. Anybody who had the diesel plugged in their diesel that night, everybody with diesel gets up and goes to work like it's no big deal after they chisel their way into the car. But the problem is at 100% humidity, it's still humid after the water freezes out of the air. So you go outside and you're wearing your big floofy jacket and your big floofy coat and your sweatpants, and you're still freezing as if death itself is rubbing its fingertips across your spine. You can feel every single vent in your clothing, all those little bitty holes and gaps and sleeves and stuff, cut like a knife. It's because it's still wet. The only way to fight that is to wear multiple layers and force it to go through all of those layers to get to you. It ain't no fun. Right. Oh, no. Hoarfrost is weird, especially if you have like a really sudden temperature drop and you get to watch it form across the surface of glass. That's weird stuff, man. Yeah. Nah, man. Going sideways.
Cave. Therefore, they organized an exclusive international expedition to explore the cave for a second time with experts from Italy and France. The team's efforts did not go unnoticed. A museum in Peru named Lame Bamba contracted Cecilio to sponsor another expedition to the cave site. He was also contracted by the
Father. I love that everybody's monetized, but it's very annoying. I'm going to do the YouTube premium bit.
Study and sustainable use of natural and cultural resources of Peru. This organization focuses on the organic bioarchaeological remains with strong connections to museums and rural tourism. Cecilio then obtained permits and permission to enter the archaeological site at the Intimache cave. The permits are required to work with these organizations because the cave is used as a sacred burial site and is off limits to foreigners due to its protected, sensitive areas. After analyzing the team's findings from the first trip, Cecilio became fascinated by the Chachapoyas culture and was set on gathering as much material for the museum as possible. He was also equally motivated to explore the underground environment of the cave and make a map to see where the groundwater goes. This was the expedition of a lifetime for Cecilio, and planning it took up all of his time. He pushed everything else in his life aside and focused 100% on this adventure. At this point, he considered his life a movie, and he was the main character. On Monday, September 8th, 2014, Cecilio and his team arrived on site at the Intimache Cave, which is about 20 hours driving north of Lima. After setting up camp, the team is ready to go on day one. The mood in the air is filled with childlike wonder as they prepare to make history. They spent the week exploring the cave, little by little, every day more or less 100 meters deep, discovering many archaeological findings. After 10 days of exploring, things could not be going any better. They started preparing for the expedition to end. Thursday, September 18th, 2014 is the final day of the exploration campaign, and they decide to explore the deepest section of the cave. Cecilio entered the Intimache Cave with 2 colleagues. The group is exhilarated to finally be on the journey down to the deepest part of the cave. This is the last shot at discovering an unseen part and stumbling upon a potentially life-changing archaeological wonder. This trip is high risk and reward. They brought a lot of gear for this entry into the cave, and a large part of that gear consisted of ropes and harnesses. It was hot and sticky at the entrance to the cave. Sweat dripped off Cecilio's forehead as he climbed over the boulders and down the horizontal shaft. The rocks jut out, and they have to watch their step. Dust is kicking up from the floor and sticking to sweat. Cecilio is leading the way and keeping a fast pace. After reaching a central vertical shaft, they anchored themselves to the cave. They quickly get themselves down this section with no issues. They are going to go further down the cave than originally planned, allowing for more opportunities to explore. This is their last chance. The team made it very deep into the cave, and now they are at a depth of 1,300 feet. This part is uncharted, and the most dangerous section is right before them. The team is taking all precautions in navigating through this tight passage. They are contorting their bodies through the tight tunnels and extremely narrow alleys. They focus on navigating through the tunnel and keeping on alert for any ancient remains they can discover. Finally, Cecilio decides to take a break before they have to connect to a rock wall. They set up a camp and relaxed while eating and reminiscing about this incredible expedition. After some time, they get laser focused on the task at hand. They must figure out how to get past this technical descent before pushing further into the cave. The cave wall they can anchor themselves to looks stable, but has some risk because if the anchor pulls out, anyone attached will fall into a rock pit. This will be the most considerable risk of the expedition. One of the teammates assists Cecilio to set up an anchor to make it more secure in the cave wall. Cecilio starts to descend the shaft and onto the horizontal passage below. Suddenly, he hears a shift in the rock where it is anchored. He knows something is happening and braces himself for the 15-foot fall to the rocky cave floor. He hits the ground with a loud thud, but by some miracle, he misses the sharp rocks and finds himself laying on the back of the cold, uneven, sloped cave floor. The pain from the fall shot up his spine, and Cecilio let out a bellowing yelp. The pain is incredible and pulsating. Cecilio sees stars, and it takes him a couple of minutes to realize what happened. This is the worst injury Cecilio's had in 20 years of exploring. He is in the worst place for this type of injury to happen. He broke a few ribs in addition to sustaining an incomplete fracture of his third lumbar vertebra. He was in so much pain he could not move, and the prospect of him climbing out on his own was impossible. He was trapped. Cecilio realized he couldn't feel his legs.
So back when right after I busted my hip, I would have these weeks or days sometimes where I would roll over in the middle of the night and my back would pop or my hip would pop or something would pop and it would wake me up and I would not be in pain. And I could walk around for a couple of days and everything was fine. And then one day, crackle, and I was back in screaming pain again. And this would happen over and over and over again. One day, I was having one of what I called my miracle days, and I was out walking my kid in the snow. It doesn't snow here often, so when it does, you go out and play in it. So I'm out there walking my kid in the snow. Dog runs under my foot, twists my ankle a little bit, and my back pops out of place. My ass is stuck out there for like 3 hours, just laying there with a kid and a puppy. Dude's running back and forth, going and getting coffee, and being a perfect little waitress. I was like, eventually my wife came home. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, making snow angels. I had like a drift built up on top of me. The one saving grace of all that is I am something of a preparedness freak. So before we went out into questionable territory, I made sure everybody bundled up extra warm. And, well, Champ just liked the snow. He loved it. Absolutely fantastic.
An absolute terror began to set in. One of his teammates worked his way down to Cecilio. He could not believe this and never thought this would happen to him. After some time, Cecilio became more clear-headed and began to think about how...
All right, so I fell through a broken piece of floor, and I hit a floor truss so hard that the nail that was sticking up poked a hole like a hole punch through my wallet, one row of bills, and some type of like a library card or a credit card or something. It just punched I came through that thing like a meteor. And it dislocated my right hip and fractured the socket around the pelvis and scratched up the ball itself real bad. So that when it went back in, it got really swollen, and there was a bunch of little pieces stuck around in it, and it was just a screaming agony. And at the same time, I collapsed one of the discs in about third lumbar, second, somewhere in there in the upper part of it. That fused on its own. So after laying in bed for like 2 months, that was more or less fine as it's ever going to be. And the hip issue nagged me for about 8 years and left me with a crippling opiate addiction. And one day my hip popped out of place, horrible agony, and popped back into place, and bits, the little pieces of bone that had been floating around in there, weren't in the way anymore. And I was able to get up and move around and not scream anymore. It was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool day. Although that was the beginning of my recovery, that was also the end of my screaming pain period. So now I'm a much happier individual. Much happier than this guy for sure.
A potential rescue could happen and if it would be possible. The group decided that one teammate would exit the cave and request rescue while the other would stay with Cecilio. He could not move, and the only thing he could do was stare at a stone on the cave ceiling. For 5 days, Cecilio lay on the floor of the cave. Finally, after almost a week in the cave, suffering an extreme pain, a Peruvian medical team came into the cave to treat him with morphine. This was a huge relief, but a temporary solution until Cecilio could be rescued from the cave and entered into a proper medical facility. Unfortunately, extracting Cecilio from the cave is going to be impossible. To transfer Cecilio, a unique rigid stretcher is needed to protect him from further injury during the extraction. This type of stretcher has a built-in harness inside that will keep him in position in all situations. This is needed because the stretcher will go up shafts vertically and can smash into the cave's walls. Outside the cave, the teammates realize getting a rescue operation will be much more challenging than they originally thought. The Spanish government denies them immediate rescue.
No, they packed to be in there for like 2 weeks. They were going down to go exploring areas that had never been explored before. This is one of the premier cave explorers of South America. He was going to do his job. That's what he does. And so they were equipped, and the fact that he had the injury where he did, which was right at the end of the explored part, meant that they still had some supplies. And so they packed him with supplies, left 2 of the guys with him, and then one guy, freaking Paul Bunyan his happy ass back out of there to go tell him, hey, we need a little bit of help to get this guy out. he's in a bad spot. And so he went to go get the cavalry, and I don't know. We don't know what's happened yet. It happened so far yet, I guess. Words, English. I've drank 2 Red Bulls, and this is what happens. I start getting chatty.
Next, the teammates plead their case for rescue to the Peruvian government. If they decline to help Cecilio, he will be trapped in the cave, which will eventually become his tomb. The teammates then turn to the Madrid Caving Federation.
What the hell just happened? Oh, it was pretty good. That way for a second. Do it this way for a second.
The Caving Federation and social media pressured the Spanish government to launch an immediate rescue. After a short deliberation, a group of Cecilio's caving friends decides to fly to Peru to rescue him themselves.
No, you got it all wrong.
The group of 10.
It's Red Bull. It makes it sting. I don't know where they got that wing shit. I don't get it. What happened to Cecilia?
10 friends flies to Peru ready to tackle the Intimiche cave and save Cecilio. The Spanish cavers correspond with the first waves of the cave rescue. The waves of rescuers from all regions of Spain will follow up with about 10 caver volunteers. Once the news of Cecilio went viral on social media, hundreds of volunteers decided to fly to Peru to help in the rescue efforts. A few days later, the rescue effort began. The rescue will be dangerous, and only very technical skilled cavers will be able to enter the cave. A camp is set up outside of the cave while a massive rescue attempt is planned. The cave entrance is 9,000 feet above sea level and is experiencing horrible weather with constant rain. The cave is extremely remote, and logistics are a significant problem. There is a lack of food, water, transportation, communication equipment, blankets, and horses, among other things. The locals helped out where they could, and a nearby town priest offered a cow to the rescue team so they could eat. Experts said the effort was complicated by, among other things, the fact that nothing was.
See, that's what I'd be volunteering for. I'd be like, cow? Oh, I'll cook that thing. You see that cow over there? It could be in our belly in like 1 minute. We're going to eat that thing. Yep.
Known about the cave, and more technical rescue teams had to come from abroad. The rescue operation was coordinated by the colonel from Peru's Emergency Management Agency. It included the participation of experts from Italy, France, Mexico, and roughly 40 Peruvian soldiers and firefighters. Rescuers descended into the cave and told Cecilio how the rescue will happen, how they plan to extract him, and the technical rope setup they will install in the cave rock walls to anchor him. They established a camp at 900 feet deep in the cave. The setup and planning of the rescue take 12 days before they are ready to strap Cecilio to the stretcher and start the rescue. The entire time, Cecilio was immobilized at the bottom of the cave in complete and utter pain.
All right.
Finally.
So this man sat down there for what, 14 days? He'd already been down there for 9, I think he said. Pretty sure. He goes down for like planning on being down for 2 weeks, ends up spending 12 days after the injury. His bones are starting to heal in the shape that they were in when he was laying on that damn ground. This man will never be the same. It would take a genius surgeon, not just a surgeon, to get him somewhere back to square. Oh yeah, cow's gonna be dinner. Cow's gonna be in our belly in 3 minutes.
The rescue team used the extensive rigging system to extract Cecilio from the cave. Outside the cave in heavy winds, a helicopter from the Peruvian Air Force brought Cecilio to a medical center. Cecilio made a full recovery after months of complicated medical treatments. He plans to continue exploring caves in the area.
I Got Even Money says he had a reason to look real peaceful coming out that cave. First of all, man, you know they was hammering that man with morphine. You know it. You know it. They probably Hey, that'd be a good one. We should go over the what was where was it? Was it in Brazil too? The 16 fort no, it was Thailand. It was where the 14 like Boy Scouts or whatever they were got caught in a cave. It flooded while they were in it. Yeah, no, I hope they gave him fantastic drugs.
I want to say thanks for watching the video,
Welcome,
and don't
bud.
forget to
Let
subscribe
me make
if you
sure I
like the
like it.
content. As
Doesn't always
always,
stick with me
please be nice to the like.
Yeah, we're very nice to the like button around here. Okay. So I got this this other dude, right? Let me get the link right quick. No. No. Oh man. We'll move that one over there. We'll keep this one here and we'll do this like this. All right. I'll just do it from here. Skadoosh, skadoosh, bam, bam. All right. So what's that? Cavalier. Caveal. All right, so I found this guy yesterday, and he has done
Hey, everyone.
what I would call an absolutely flawless review style. He's got this weird little like ship set up or whatever this is he's got going on. It's all beautiful. It's very well done. It sounds excellent. And he's doing this thing called Sell Me a Movie. It's basically a movie review on something new that's popped out, but he's been doing it for a couple of months.
Hey everyone, here we are again going ahead and do another movie review. Now this movie is of course one of the more controversial movies that are out there right now, and that is Halloween Ends. So sit back, grab your popcorn. Want to watch the movie before this? More than welcome to, but let's go ahead and review the movie.
Hello there, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and children.
Sell me a movie.
So most recently,
let me do this right. Welcome to Sell Me a Movie. Or I could just do it.
Zombie ones I have seen, of course, number 2, 3, H2O, Resurrections, as well as, of course, the newer ones too, 2018, Kills and Ends. Not a big fan of H2O or Resurrections at all. Rob Zombie.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's beautiful.
Okay, pretty good on the first one. Second one, not so much. The second one, in my opinion, was better than what people make it out to be. The third one, I love it. It is to me, it's a cult classic. It's very underrated in my personal opinion. Whether or not, if you guys believe that, I mean, let us know down below in the comments. That's my personal opinion. Again, I enjoyed 3. Halloween 2018, it was good. Halloween Kills, not much of a fan. But let's talk about, of course, Halloween Ends. Now, Halloween Ends is one of those movies that it's getting a lot of flack because it's not how a lot of individuals thought it would go down. And it's kind of understandable. If you've seen this flick, you can kind of understand where I'm going at with this. Now, the opening credits, of course, it's all blue. It's not the usual Halloween orange. And my understanding from that is, of course, to pay homage to Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which, good callback. However, the storyline, it sets up a character that we know, we're being introduced to, Corey. He is a babysitter who babysits a kid, which is kind of a brat in a way, while his parents are out doing dinner, whatever, like on a date. Well, Corey gets trapped in the attic by this kid. He tries to get out. Now you're talking about like a 3-story level house. Corey's like kicks open the door, and all of a sudden the kid gets smacked by the door, falls down or falls over the railing, and ends up hitting the floor right in front of his parents, dying. At that point in time, Corey is labeled as a psychopath, as a killer, even though it was an accident and he didn't mean to. This is the start of course, a thing that will be haunting Corey for his whole entire time and his whole entire life. And of course, this is 4 years after Halloween Kills. So, of course, we all know that Halloween Kills, the town kind of went rampant on Michael Myers himself in terms of beating the crap out of him, but yet Michael did his own slashing right back to them. So when we see Michael, of course, he is very much in the sewer 4 years later, and this is where a lot of people don't like it, is the fact that he's basically a crippled old man. And at this point in time, you kind of have to understand that it makes sense, logically speaking, because look at how old he is. And he's older than Lori, and Lori is already technically could be a great grandmother at this point.
Welcome back.
But even so, it paints a picture that Michael Myers is definitely a individual who has been hurt and just basically all around weak at this point. He gets Corey as a protege. Not going to say how he gets to that point because it's a lot to cover, but basically it carries on to that premise of that
I don't
evil
care.
can transfer.
Honestly, when it comes to modern movies, I generally don't pay any attention to them the first time through because I don't like being beat in the face with concepts. I'd rather let it soak in and leak in, and then maybe I'll have an interest in actually watching the movie later. So I kind of do a spoiler run myself anyway the first time through because I'm usually messing with my phone during the movie and I don't pay it no attention. But if it's a good movie, it'll jerk me out of my phone. I'll sit down and watch it.
Corey looks into Michael Myers' eyes, and that's how he kind of gets personaed as the killer.
All right.
Or gets that evil into his embodiment. Very similar to how it's explained in Halloween 2018. And the doctor being so obsessed with death and killing. So at that point, Michael and Corey start a killing spree. All while Corey is actually having a relationship with Lori's granddaughter. And there are definitely clips of that, of how that relationship has blossomed and how it would create an issue between Lori, Corey, and Lori's granddaughter. And if you don't know yet, of course, Lori's daughter did die in Halloween Kills. Michael Myers did kill her at that point in time, at the very end. But regardless.
All right, Carrie. I will cater directly to you for a moment. Wow. That's a 150 grain round on a pistol round. On something, I mean, it's a rifle boat tail, but I'm just saying, like, the diameter on it's pretty small. It's not big bore at all. I know they outlawed the whole buying, selling, trading, transferring to anything other than the government of all forms of firearms whatsoever in the America's Hat up there. What's wrong with your ears? What happened? All right. I'm gonna do this thing before we switch over to what else we're doing. Let me see. We are doing the thing. Yeah. All right. Let's see. We're gonna actually do it with her second video instead of her first. Yes. So we do this thing, that thing. So
You know about cars? Yes, I'm a paleontologist.
Oh, it's okay. There's dynamite in this bag too. I'm a paleontologist.
I'm a paleontologist.
Paleontologists study really old stuff.
So like crackers.
Because bad movies are funny.
And I'm super excited to be
this
on this
is
journey
wine
with Cassie.
time.
And excited to share some true crime stories.
Wine
that
time and crew
I
time.
love. I guess I don't love.
What is it? What does it say? Wine time, crime time, wine time. She has 228 subscribers now, and her very first video as a part of my YouTube paleontology.
Hi, how y'all doing?
Is an introduction.
So this is a brand new channel. My name is Molly Christine, and I'm super excited to be on this journey with Cassie, and excited to share some true crime stories that I love. I guess I don't love them. Sounds kind of bad to say you love true crime. But anyways, I'm fascinated by, I have a cat.
Oh, good. Cat videos.
This is my
be
cat.
great.
Her name is Swayze Boots. Say hi. And she will probably be in a lot of the videos, at least just little moments like this where I'm holding her. So I hope you like her because I love her very much. She's my best friend. Hi.
Yeah. For real, dude. Seriously, all of y'all that's got a channel and might want to come on the show, y'all go work out on y'all's about section a little bit. Associate with it. Like, get friendly. Put some words in it. Like, what it's about. Is what it's for. Throw some links in there. That's a real handy trick.
I'm really excited to be doing this. I stayed up much later than I should have last night doing research for my first case that I'm going to be putting out. I'm hoping that I will be putting out a video every Tuesday. That's my goal. So I'm excited for this, and the first case that I'm going to be talking about is a case that has drove me nuts since the day I heard about it, and I hope that you guys will enjoy it. Also, if you want to go subscribe to my channel, I will post the link down below. My channel is youtube.com/mollygoingdisney. I made the channel 9 years ago when I got accepted into the Disney College program. So there's not any Disney content on there anymore.
Of course not. But do you know what there is on there? A 9-year-old video. I guarantee it. Oh yeah, we're going Disney, all right. Absolutely. More Molly. Wow, she's industrious. Let's see what her oldest video is. 7 months, 8. Oh my God, she has been unbelievably proliferous over here. Oh, it's only 3 years old. Makes Sasquatch sad. That is unfortunate. Dude.
Hi, how y'all doing? So this is, I thought maybe one of my videos, besides doing a true crime video, we could do like a tattoo tour. So if you want to see all 13 of my tattoos and hear the stories that go with them, let me know. I love tattoos, and I'm excited to talk about my tattoos if you want to hear about it. So my channel, like I said, is not anything to do with Disney anymore. Lately it's been a lot of booktube videos. I've been reading a lot. And
that is the second time I've heard that phrase. Booktube. What is booktube? Someone turned me on to booktubers. I think I found one by accident. Logan Albright mentioned booktubers, and I asked him what it was, and he kind of clammed up about it. Like, I don't know if he just didn't want to digress too far or what. I don't know what was up with that, but he just he mentioned it and then kind of looked like he regretted he mentioned it. I was like, come on, man, booktubers. What's not to love?
Filming and vlogging about it. And just my life, hanging out with my friends, Swayze, just fun little vlogs. I try to post on there at least once a weekend. So it could either be Saturday night or Sunday night, depending on what I'm doing that weekend. So,
okay.
Yeah, I would like it if you go subscribe. That would be awesome.
Yeah,
you can find anything you want to know about me on my channel. So if you want to know anything more about me, go subscribe to my channel because it's all there.
Fantastic. All right, that was my YouTube paleontology. Now, I have, well, nope. We're not going to get to it tonight either. Maybe a little later when we get into what's fixing to go down. So we're fixing to do what's fixing to go down. And we're going to find out exactly how malleable StreamYards is and if I can do the thing I want to do the way I want to do it. So which outro would y'all prefer at the end of this one? I'm not going, the stream's not leaving, but I'm going to do an outro for editing later because this could go for a little while. Let's turn that off so it's not going in the background. Turn that off. Turn that off. Right. You want the original one or the new one? I like my new outro better.
Sorry. Good news, though. We're going to have to move the party somewhere a little bit more private, but you're all invited. Lorenzo will give you the details. Yeah!
Hey, she was a cutie in a sundress. I told her I just had to confess, I got a crush on you, darling. Them long tan legs got me falling.
All right, giggity giggity. Okay, so let's turn that off, turn this on. You are listening to Sasquatch Radio, where the technical issues are part of the show. Work. Hey, yeah, that worked.
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, maybe you'll get sick of being the monster out of my head, under my bed. Think you're something out of my nightmares, standing right there. But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, then will you get bored of killing me?
Silhouettes of you are like a taunt. Never really know just what you want. With you I don't ever feel calm. I can feel the sweat inside my palms. Play with me like cats and a string. You don't understand the pain it brings. You don't ever wanna give me wings. You don't ever wanna set me free. You know I'm addicted to you, and it's twisted you've been gifted with the evil voodoo. Got me coming back for more, even when I've been screwed. Dolls full of pins, pierce my heart straight through. I got issues in my head, I like you in my bed, but you keep me on red. Oh, everything is like a test. I better not text or I'll come off desperate.
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, baby you'll get sick of being the monster out of my head, under my bed. Think you're something out of my nightmares, standing right there. But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, then will you get bored of killing me?
So if I play dead, will you regret everything that you did, that you said? I don't think you understand what you're doing, and my heart's black and blue from the bruising. I feel like when I'm with you I'm losing. I feel like you think that this amusing, sitting there gaslighting and confusing. Was it me? Is it me? Am I deluded? I'm the one who's always sorry, the conclusion. Even though I offer all of the solutions, I wish you loved me like I love you, it's stupid. When I'm alone with you I never feel lucid. I wish I wasn't struck by Cupid. I wish when I first saw you I knew this. When I'm with you I feel so useless, I feel diluted, my heart's been wounded. Silhouettes of you are like a taunt. Never really know just what you want. With you I don't ever feel calm. I can feel the sweat inside my palms. Play with me like cats and a string. You don't understand the pain it brings. You don't ever wanna give me wings. You don't ever wanna set me free.
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, baby you'll get sick of being the monster out of my head, under my bed. Think you're something out of my nightmares, standing right there. But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, then will you get bored of killing me? Then will you get bored of killing me? And will you get bored of killing me? And will you get bored of killing me? And will you get bored of killing me?
Let's go. Yeah. I'm like an addict, do I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it, fuse like a magnet. Lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same. Cause that's what it takes. Pieces is a form of art. I'm never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same. Cause that's what it takes.
You're watching Sasquatch Radio. I'm starting to run out of things to say because I'm bored.
Swear I won't forget this, why do I regret this? In my mind reckless, thoughts are feeling endless. Sitting up, I'm breathless, anxiety's infectious. I feel so defenseless, betrayed and embarrassed. I hate being open, I hate being broken. I feel like an ocean filled up with emotion. Anger ain't a potion, rub it on like lotion. I can feel it soaking, reopen, the scars have awoken. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go. The pain makes it real. I don't wanna feel, I just wanna kill the bad thoughts and steal a good thought and feel. I'm just lost, I feel, I'm just lost to feel. I need time to heal, I can't steer the wheel. Cause this drive to kill, and it gives me chills. A nice road to feel, I slip off the peel and crash all the steel. Will I ever heal? I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go.
And y'all couldn't hear any of that, of course. There's no way any of this is going to actually work out if I don't do it correctly. Where is it at? Did I not put them all in? I bet I didn't. I bet I only got 2 or 3 of them in there. That's the board. This is a good one. Hello? What? On I-16. Yeah, no, tell her to call AAA. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I'm not near I-16. No, it's like an hour and a half away. Oh, just swing by and go get her. Because, wait, was she driving the old concrete truck? What? Look, man, this is the last time I'm going to drag you out of the fire like this. Don't do it. And stop giving that girl the keys to my concrete truck. Why? Who? Oh, no keys anymore. Because you hotwired it. Well, of course it's not a good mud bogging truck. It's half full of solid concrete. Yeah, no, it was cheap. No, do not dynamite the back of that truck. I'll figure something out with it. I don't know. Look, get my fucking truck home and stop it. Just quit it. Put it back out there in the swamp. Let some hobo live in it, but don't drive it around. God, that thing is dangerous. Hello? Hello? What? No, I don't have a gooseneck trailer. It is 4 a.m. Look. No, I don't have a camper. What? Well, how did you get the Airstream into the swimming pool? Oh, because you thought the tractor floated. No. Skunk Ape, go to bed. Go to bed immediately and stop doing what you... Are you in Florida?
I've got an itch I can't scratch, I'm missing a piece that completes a whole part of me, an open wound scar to see. Everybody come here, gather round, welcome to the freak show, the best in town. What the hell's wrong with me? I don't get along with anybody, honestly. I've been living in my own head constantly, thoughts jumbled round, think I need a new lobotomy. Wait, all these thoughts are too negative. I don't wanna get lost in the sedative. Gotta show them what I got, I'm competitive. You know I'm about to go off, I won't let them win, I'll take a stab. I wanna chase a bag, I wanna weigh, I can change all the things I lack. I gotta face the facts, I got a taste in that. Got me obsessed with the rest, I got an itch to scratch. I'll give up everything.
Sick of the venom in my brain, running from the past, wanna escape my pain. I just wanna be a better person, I deserve this, I just wanna break these chains. Always asking for greatness, true to myself, I never fake it. Seen too many once that I so they get famous. And when I say the truth, most really can't take it. In spite of everything I've been through, I'ma make it. Fake friends, but on my downfall is toxic. Day one, started the outlaws for profit. Now all I do is write verses, no talking. All I do is put the work in, no option. This was everything I ever wanted, created a legacy off of me just being honest. And the fake ones hate, but it's all to no avail. They wanna see me lose, but you know I never fail.
I'll give up everything, daunting if I can see my dream, lay things right, 'cause I'll do anything required. Want a reality. Oh, wait,
I got the cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, doing no cap. Only God wants you, better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad,
Yeah.
baby, I'm bad.
I just wanna stay bad, stay mad. Chip on my shoulder cause they treat me like an outcast. I ain't gonna take that, stay back. I'll be swinging hard till the hits come in all caps. I ain't gonna lay back, pray that someone's gonna help me. Ain't nobody like that. I ain't gonna wait, that's all fact. Give me one shot and I'll never get the throne back. I'm sick of being cautious, I'ma go cause some pain, can't stop this. I'ma steal everybody's lane, call it shoplift. Sick of hearing everyone complain when they thoughtless. Taste the pain, it's like candy canes. It makes me go change into a better frame, into a better name. Society's insane, we all live for fame, yeah. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only God wants you, better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad, baby, I'm bad. I got the cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up. Live it up on the attack, baby I'm bad. I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only God wants you, better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby I'm bad, baby I'm bad. I got the cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, I'm live it up on the attack. Baby I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only God wants you, better go live it up. Cash in the bag.
That didn't do what I expected it to do. Did it? Nope. Okay, so that doesn't play when this is over here. She has it set up so that you can't say anything in her chat unless you've been subscribed 3 days. That seems a bit daunting to me, at least. Oh, this is fixing to get crazy. I bet I got a bunch of crap running over there. Oh, no. Oh, God. It's everything going off at once. Hello? Hello? What? No, I don't have a gooseneck trailer. It is 4 a.m. Look. No, I don't have a camper. What? Good night,
Well,
sweet
how
friends.
did you get the
Very
Airstream
good
into
to
the
see you.
swimming pool?
Oh, because you thought the tractor floated. No. Skunk Ape, go to bed. Go to bed immediately and stop doing what you... Are you in Florida? Right?
More, I feel destiny, she tempts me. Tells me there's two paths, they both have a different ending. Choose wise and you'll find that pain leads to ascending. Till I'm dead and buried deep within a cemetery, I will fight, never weary, I wanna be legendary. Till I'm dead and buried deep within a cemetery, I will fight, never weary, I wanna be legendary. place, that's alright. I don't work at a fast pace, I'm a steady horse creeping up straight past it. And once I pass you, no one's getting past me. I see people hit walls and they stop there. I don't get that mind, man, it sounds scared. Good things take time, better prepare, cause anything great takes pain, isn't fair. Take it from me, cause I got to this place where no one can tell me to do anything. I call my own shots, I call my own place. I enjoy my life almost every day, and I could teach you if you listen to me. You follow some rules, don't need gifts to be paid. Persistence is better than brains any day. Just listen to me and I'll show you the way. When I thought we can feel there's something empty, we need something more. I feel destiny, she tempts me, tells me there's two paths, they both have a different ending. Choose wise.
So you can't hear me on this side at all. Crazy. Oh, I guess so.
Till I'm dead and buried deep within a cemetery. I will fight, never weary. I wanna be legendary. Deep within a cemetery, I will fight, never weary. I wanna be legendary.
Hello? Hello? What? No, I don't have a gooseneck trailer. Dude, it is 4 a.m. Look. No, I don't have a camper. What? Well, how did you get the Airstream into the swimming pool? Oh, because you thought the tractor floated. No. Skunk Ape, go to bed. Go to bed immediately and stop doing what you... Are you in Florida?
Some sort of pain, you caused a permanent stain, which has determined your fate. I've never seen so clear, I feel the end and it's near. The day of reckoning's here, the sound of deafening fear.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm assuming I'm back in the fray again, and you can hear the things coming out of my face hole. I have found an interesting video, and we're going to check it out and see how many copyright claims we can get in a single stream. Why not, right? I'm bored. That is the longest freaking ad in history. Skadoosh, skadoosh. All right, so let's do this right. Gotta do it right. Don't bother. I think I just blocked everybody. Oh no. All right, so this is Waterline Stories is the name of the channel. And the name of this particular video is Driver Breaks Down Lost Bell, the Wild Drake Disaster.
He's got a wife, Jean, and a 15-month-old daughter, Marissa, who he absolutely adores. He also has a stressful and dangerous job, but that part of his life he really just doesn't talk about much because he doesn't want to worry Jean. So, on the 26th of July 1979, he packs his bag for his next work trip and flies almost 24 hours from the US to Aberdeen in Scotland. That same month, work started to reinstall the buoy and reinstate the SALM in the Thistle oil field situated between Scotland and Norway. On the 29th of July, 2 American saturation divers, 32-year-old Richard Walker and 28-year-old Victor Giel, entered the saturation habitat on the diving support vessel, the Wildrake, and they began their pressurization procedures to a working depth of around 160 meters or 520 feet. The Wildrake is a deep water saturation diving vessel equipped with a helipad to fly in crew and supplies, a saturation habitat and dive bell where the divers live and work for about 28 days and maintain their working pressure, a crane to lower the dive bell into the water, and a moon pool, which is an opening in the center of the ship so the dive bell can be lowered from the deck through the hull of the ship and directly into the water. The SALM, which they're installing, is a single anchor leg.
Nope. Did Alcor stop? Is he not live anymore? Did it end, or let's see? Because all I'm getting is like a little loop.
Yeah, we go from, we start from the ground, we work our way up in subscribers.
Okay, that's not working for some reason. I think it's on his end.
Leg mooring, which is a system that allows a ship to dock to the oil pipeline and load oil into their tanks. It's a block weighted to the seabed and a riser that's connected to a floating buoy at the surface. This system forms a pipeline connected to the oil drilling rig so that the ship doesn't have to get too close to the drilling rig in order to receive its load. The SALM serving the Thistle oil field was installed in March 1977 at a cost of around $6.5 million. It didn't go into operation until February 1978, but by October 1978, there were already problems. The buoy had started to shear a pin and shackle setup that connected the riser, and the buoy was disconnected using an explosive charge and then taken away for repair. The explosion also damaged the riser. Despite there being a moon pool, the dive bell had been modified to swing over the side of the ship. During these modifications, the swivel that connects the bell to the crane wire was replaced with 2 shackles. The clump weight was also removed because it couldn't clear the side of the ship when the crane swung out. The clump weight is a large, heavy weight hanging from the bottom of the bell, which serves as ballast and to hold the bell facing downwards and make sure that it's negatively buoyant. The bell also has 4 drop weights tied by rope, which gives it enough weight to descend, but without the clump weight, it's slightly lighter and wouldn't put as much strain on the shackles attaching the bell to the hoist wire. On the night of the 7th of August, the dive bell, along with Richard and Victor, was hoisted over the side of the Wildrake. Their mission for the night was to continue the operation of attaching the SALM riser to its base. As the bell was lowered into the water, the bell's transponder came loose. So Brian Masterson ordered the Wildrake's foreman just to cut it off. A transponder is like a GPS system, which in this case is used underwater to locate the bell if it were to go missing.
It's basically
of course, the bell was attached to the ship's crane, and so perhaps it didn't seem too important. Richard and Victor got to work at 148 meters or around 485 feet. For a number of hours, Richard worked on reattaching the riser while Victor provided support from within the dive bell. But at 2:20 in the very early hours of the morning of the 8th of August, Richard looked back at the bell And to his dismay, he saw that the bell was listing or leaning over to its side. He came closer to inspect and found that the bell was no longer attached to the lift wire. It was hanging precariously with all its weight on the umbilical. The umbilical is a set of service wires and pipes that provide breathing gas, hot water to keep the divers warm, and communications with the wild rake. The shackles attaching the bell to the hoist wire had come loose, and now the hoist wire had drifted out of sight. Richard relayed his findings to the surface, and then he and Victor began preparing for an emergency rescue. First, he strapped the diving bell's exterior hatch, which opens outwards, to the outside of the bell in an open position. Without the clump weight, which would have created some space between the seabed and the hatch if the bell were to drop into the sand at the bottom of the sea, the outer hatch would be open, and so the divers would probably still be able to dig their way out. Richard then climbed back inside the bell to join Victor. They then closed and sealed the interior hatch, which opens into the bell. Sealing this dive bell is really all that stands between life and death for these two divers. They can't just swim up to the surface from 500 feet. First off, they wouldn't be able to hold their breath because air in their lungs would be expanding as they ascend. And more importantly, they're saturated with gas at a higher pressure than at the surface. And to ascend to the surface pressure safely is going to take them around 6 days. Any quicker is a death sentence. So they need to stay inside the pressurized diving bell. Water temperatures in the North Sea are between 9 and 16 degrees Celsius or 48 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. For divers in a lost bell, the single biggest immediate danger is hypothermia. So it was some comfort to Richard and Victor that they still had the umbilical cord to provide hot water, breathing gas, and of course they could still talk to the ship. Nonetheless, they started their preparations for survival as if they were completely cut off. First, Richard dried himself off, and then he crawled into his survival bag. And then he gathered his supplies like water and food into his survival bag and found as comfortable a position as he could. Then he got his carbon dioxide scrubber ready and pulled that into the bag with him. At those depths, the divers will have a breathing mixture containing helium. Helium conducts heat really well, and so most of their heat loss will be through their breathing. To combat that heat loss, the diver's CO2 scrubber has a heat exchange built into the system, which means as they breathe through the system, the CO2 will be scrubbed, and in that chemical reaction that absorbs the CO2, it also creates heat. That heat is then used to warm their breathing gas, and so they breathe a warm mixture which will help to slow their heat loss. Finally, Richard helps Victor go through the same procedure. The two men then hunker down and wait, hoping that rescue comes before they succumb to hypothermia. As they wait, Richard starts to think about his wife and daughter back in America. A representative from the company has been sent to notify them that there is an incident. But everything's okay because they'll soon hoist them up using the umbilical cord. The ship lets the divers know that's what's happening, and so they breathe a sigh of relief. But in the back of Richard's mind, he's wondering how they're going to pull that off given the fact that the umbilical is not certified and might not have been engineered to withstand the weight of the bell. Then he calms his nerves, says to himself that everything's going to be okay. They don't have the clump weight, and he's sure that by the time they get closer to the surface, they can send a surface diver down to connect the ship's crane to the bell and hoist the bell out of the water. Back at the surface, they start to winch in the reel and the umbilical cord, but it quickly becomes trapped while it's being coiled onto its spool. In the process, they slightly damage the umbilical. But Richard and Victor have still got hot water, they've still got breathing gas, and they've still got communication with the surface. So they switch tactics and shift the umbilical from its own winch onto the ship's crane. Richard and Victor almost immediately start to radio up to the ship, but their communications are now weak and crackly. Eventually, the ship's able to make out that the situation has gone from bad to worse. Richard and Victor no longer have hot water or breathing gas and the radio wire has been badly damaged. The weight of the bell, coupled with the damage from the bell's umbilical winch, have severed the gas and hot water. Richard and Victor's lives are now literally hanging by a thread. If the clock hadn't started yet, it now just kicked into overdrive. The only thing the ship could do was to lower the bell onto the sea floor. And
Looking to get.
I like short ads. They're nice. I'm not a huge fan of unskippable ads, you know, because they're annoying and they make your face hurt.
122 feet deep. They then called in their sister ship, the Stena Wilder. The Stena Wilder's dive bell was in the middle of repairs, and so it had to be quickly prepared to dive to those depths. Just after 6 o'clock in the morning, the Stena Wilder's bell is lowered into the water with rescue divers Phil Casey Smith and Eddie Frank. The plan is to attach a guide wire to the bell and then hoist the bell up using the Wildrake's crane. Now this is when the catalogue of failures starts to compound. In an emergency rescue, very often time is your greatest enemy. The quicker you rescue someone, the higher their chances of a full recovery or even survival. Time was not on Richard and Victor's side. They're fighting the cold and have a limited supply of breathing gas. Their window is closing fast, and as quickly as the clock is ticking, so too are the problems adding up. The dive bell on the Stena Wilder is having problems of their own. Their lights are out of order and their communication system is acting up, which is slowing the divers down. The transponder from the Wildrake is lying useless on the deck of the Wildrake, so the rescue divers are having a hard time even finding the lost bell. It doesn't help that in the stress of the emergency, the Wildrake didn't keep track of where they dropped the bell after they attempted to raise it using its now severed umbilical cord. At 7:55, Phil finally finds Richard and Victor and got a very excited thumbs up from the two men. Richard again breathes a sigh of relief. Rescue was there and they would soon be back on board. Another hour went by while Phil wrestled the guide wire around the SALM base. The Stena Wilder doesn't have dynamic positioning, which means the ship's captain had to hold the vessel in position, manually steering, adjusting the throttle forward and aft, and using the bow thruster to point the bow of the vessel. Of course, this is in the North Sea, which isn't exactly a calm lake, and so the captain is fighting as hard as he can to keep the ship in position through a series of over and under corrections in rough seas. For the rescue divers below, they're getting dragged back and forth by their umbilical cord every time the ship loses position. At 9 o'clock, Phil finally attaches the guide wire and radios up for the Wildrake to lower its crane hook. But the hook lands too far from the lost bell and the slings are too short for the guide wire to reach. So the hook is hauled back on board and extra lengths of slings are attached.
Yeah, but I got a little bored with the music. Besides, it got rid of all the plebes. Because I'm a terrible person.
Just after 10 o'clock, Phil's able to attach the crane hook to the bell. That's really just in time because Richard and Victor are now frantic to get to the surface. They've been in ice cold waters for over 12 hours, and more than half of that time has been without fresh breathing gas or hot water or communication with the surface. Richard feels like he's on a roller coaster ride, where rescue seems imminent, only to have his hopes dashed when a new problem sets in. He's also becoming hypothermic, but he's relieved. They're attached to the ship again, and soon they'll be back on board. The Wildrake starts to wind in the crazed hoist, but the bell is not directly beneath the Wildrake, and so they start to pull and it gets dragged directly into the base of the SALM and gets wedged. At the surface, the crane winds in the cable, and at 12:20, when it finally surfaces, all they get is a severed cable and the bell is lost again. Richard and Victor would have heard the cable snap and felt the bell drop into the sand. It took the ship almost 2 hours to realize they had lost the bell again. Now, in the water, Eddie Frank was able to relocate the bell, and he could see that one of the bell's drop weights had been cut. He assumed this was done by Richard and Victor. If they'd succeeded in cutting all the drop weights, the bell would have been positively buoyant and could float to the surface. To cut the drop weights loose, the divers would have had to come out of the bell and into the freezing water. This move now added to the speed of the onset of hypothermia. But they're desperate men. Unfortunately, they only cut one free, and so the bell is still negatively buoyant and sitting in the sand. Eddie could see they were very weak and obviously in desperate need of medical attention. Phil and Eddie themselves are nearing exhaustion, and so they are brought back up to the surface. A new team of divers are sent down. Rescue divers Michael Mangan and Tony Slayman. Just after 1800, after battling against the same conditions that Phil had to, Michael finally connects a new sling to the bell. Then at 1930, pushing towards 24 hours after the Wild Rate bell went into the water, and much to the relief of everyone on deck, the bell is finally brought back on board. That relief is short-lived because Richard and Victor are dead.
Timing is everything.
Of Infabco, who runs the saturation diving operations, orders the divers back into the water to continue working on installing the SALM. Shocked by their orders from someone who seemed insensitive to the death of his own employees, the divers and support crew refused, and instead they began the 6-day process of decompressing the chamber while they waited alongside the bodies of their colleagues. In a crazy twist, Infabco Diving Services are found not guilty of criminal wrongdoing because technically the divers are employed by another company in the Isle of Man. The laws in the UK were later amended to allow an indirect employer to be found guilty, closing that legal loophole. The families of the American divers filed for damages in the US. An LA court awarded Richard Walker's family $475,000, but the British legal system didn't enforce that, and so Infabco didn't pay. The families then filed suit in the UK, which was settled out of court, and Richard Walker's family received $422,000.
Okay.
Victor Giel's daughter received $8,000. A fatal accident inquiry investigated by the coroner in Aberdeen, Scotland, found that removing the clump weight and not stopping the crane to investigate the obstruction when the bell was lodged against the SALM contributed to the deaths of Richard and Victor. Sheriff Douglas James Risk concluded the diving contractors were more concerned with speed than with safety. In a statement to the court, Jean Walker, Richard's wife, read an excerpt from his diary written on the 7th of August 1979 from inside the habitat, hours before he and Victor went into the bell.
The 7th of August, he wrote that he was on location at Thistlefield. The boat heaves a lot. Roger, that was one of the other men in saturation, says there are conger eels all over. We'll find out today. Poor topside management. I know that the only reason why he was still there was because of us, and that's hard to look at. He says, I miss my little one. It really carves a hole right out of me. He says, I don't even know if I'm going to get out alive.
That's terrifying.
You began a guided meditation video in your living room, but
There is a growing problem in the United States, homelessness.
Maybe it helped.
For most of us,
Hey, I love
the
you,
basic
bird.
necessities
You
to
can
live
actually hear it.
are taken for granted. Food, water, shelter, clothes. What do you see when you think of the homeless? Do you see images of dirt, trash, or perhaps drugs and alcohol? Do you ever think about the reason why these people ended up in despair? Or do you believe what mainstream media shows and tells you? According to the National Alliance to End Homelessness, it was estimated in 2020 that the homeless population reached approximately 580,000. To put that in perspective, the city of Tucson, Arizona has a population of approximately 554,000. My name is Regan Benson. I'm a mother, a grandmother, a wife, a homeless advocate. I've spent a lifetime fighting for the homeless and their right to survive with dignity. Join me as we begin to understand some of the reasons behind the despair. Hopefully you will see that these people have feelings. They are people. They have names. They are the forgotten. This is where Sarah currently resides on the streets of Denver, between a tent and this camper. Hi, Sarah.
Hi,
Tell us how old you are.
I'm 43 years old.
How did you become homeless?
I had a stroke. I lost 3 paychecks and had to go to a safe house.
Do you currently have any family?
I do. I have 3 children and 2 siblings and both parents.
Tell us what homelessness is like as a woman.
I would say it's a little harder for women than it is men out here, because they assume, or the public assumes, either that we need something so bad that we will sell ourselves, or the men out here expect us to work harder than they do.
How have your experiences out here affected your mental health?
I would say that it's hard on anyone's mental health being in a situation they don't really want to be in. I think that moving all the time or looking over your shoulder all the time makes you have an anxiety disorder. I think it makes you have fears. I think that it's hard. I don't know. It's hard on anyone being in a situation they don't necessarily feel they have control over, even though most people are out here because they want to be free.
Do you have a substance abuse history that you care to share with us?
I would say that if you didn't before you were homeless, most end up with a substance abuse issue because it is hard on your mental health. A lot of people just kind of want to run away from their feelings, or how people even more so oppress you. You think you're going to be free, but you're really not. And I don't consider myself really homeless. I consider myself living off the grid. I would always say that that I just choose to live differently than most of society because either society failed me or I feel like I failed society.
Have you attempted or completed any rehab programs for substance abuse issues?
Yes, I have, and I've also done therapy for years for not necessarily substance, but my self-abuse issues. Most of us out here have a vice, whether it be good or bad. We find something that keeps us going. You have to have something, I guess. even when you feel society's given up on you or you've given up on yourself. To keep going every day, you have to find something.
Sarah, do you have a criminal record, and if so, for what crimes?
I would say I don't have a criminal record. Yes, I have been in trouble. I have tickets. I have an underage drinking ticket. I have saying fucked in public in Boulder. And I have a trespassing charge on the railroad tracks when I never even saw a sign for collecting rocks. And I'm 43 years old.
I bet
Most
she was
people out
collecting
here
rocks.
have a criminal record for trespassing in some sort, because someone doesn't want you on their property or want you by their property, or wants to say that you're impeding on their way of living.
So, do you feel you've been treated
Right.
fairly by law enforcement as you're living homeless?
I would say yes and no. Depends on the law enforcement.
Might have collected a
Some
few
are
rocks in my
understanding.
past too.
Some are shocked, especially seeing a girl. Some, I think it's more that they don't know how to take you, or they don't know what to say or how to be. And then there are those that are just controlling, just like in any empowering job, I guess. Some do it for the right reasons, some do it for the wrong.
Who are the people in your life that you trust?
Out here, you can trust yourself. Even friends, I don't know. It's hard living, so it's hard for people to trust other people when you feel like you're the untrusted no matter who's looking at you.
Do you feel you've been treated fairly by society?
No. And even those that would say that why should you, or why do you think you're any different or any better than anybody else? I just think we all need to treat each other with a little more empathy. And if we could all stop and listen a little better. Everybody has a story, everybody has a reason for what they do. Sometimes it's not what we think. Sometimes it's just that we're running from our own pain or ourselves and what we feel like society says we've inflicted upon them. Most of us aren't out here to hurt anybody. Most of us are out here just trying to be okay with ourselves. And I would say that we're
Exactly.
not church. And we shouldn't be treated as though because we live in the gutters or however they want to say it. Most of us, yes, are running from something, and it's usually what we impose upon ourselves because of what others think.
Do you want to be off the streets?
Yes. None of us wants to worry every single day in survival mode or fight or flight. Some of us would just like a little bit of peace.
What are the barriers that you've experienced to make that happen?
The barriers, every day is a barrier. Something is thrown in front of you every day. It's unexpected. And most of us get so stuck on the survival or the fight or flight.
Hello, Andrew.
That we don't
Welcome
see
to the
anything
show.
else. And it's
Yes, it
really
is.
hard to get out of that situation when you're there every day experiencing someone telling you to move, someone telling you that you don't belong or that you aren't worthy of just living, just doing the day-to-day things to live.
Do you plan on being successful to get yourself off the street?
Absolutely.
I would say everybody plans on being successful, and nobody ever expects to be on the street. No one ever expects that someone will listen to them, hear them, or see them as a person. We're not raised that way, but yet we are.
Do you think there is a homeless problem throughout the United States?
I don't think we're a problem. I think that it's to some a way of living. to some just running, to some just not being 1% of society that doesn't believe in society standards. Who said we weren't free? Who said we get to judge, take your own inventory before taking others? I don't want to judge someone else, therefore I don't feel like anyone should judge me. I'm not trying to hurt anyone. I'm not trying to do wrong. I'm doing what's good for me. What I feel I need to do to live with myself. And being on the streets, I found myself. No matter where you go in any aspect in this world, you follows you everywhere. I didn't even get that for a long time because I was so worried about what society wanted. I lost myself along all of it. But in the 3 years I've been out here on the streets, depending on only me, I found myself. And I'm comfortable with that.
What is the solution to homelessness?
I don't think there's a solution. I just think we need to have more empathy, more compassion. And somewhere along the lines, communication is broke down, not just with the homeless, with everybody. And if we all just stopped and listened, and we don't have to agree or accept or whatever, but it makes us more intelligent people the more opinions we allow and the more people we allow in our lives.
Exactly.
The truth in anything, I believe.
What do you want to say?
I just want to.
What do you want to say to people who don't know anything about living homeless?
I would say it's harder than you think to hold a sign, or to be dirty, or to be kicked out of places, or just to be judged just by the assumption or the look that you're homeless or that we don't want to work. Most of us work harder every day just trying to survive than most people would do at a job. And it's almost impossible to get a job when you're trying to just make sure your stuff's okay and you're okay. Because you lose more than your dignity or yourself in being homeless. You lose everything over and over and over, and every day is a fight. Whether it be people putting themselves in your way or people's opinions putting themselves in the way, because everybody has something to say, but they don't want to hear what you have to say.
If you could change something in your life, what would that be?
I would have had more patience. I maybe would have listened a little better to other people's opinions instead of being so, I just want to do it my way. Because maybe if I would have had more time for people and not stuck myself into work so much, or worked on my relationships more. And
did you see my video I did for you? I redubbed you dancing to another tune. It's at the very beginning of this stream, I think. Or yeah, somewhere. It's somewhere in here.
I would have paid more attention to not taking things for granted. You don't realize what you had till it's all gone. And that's in anything. Most people don't look at what it was until it's gone. And I never thought any of it would be gone. I thought that as long as I worked and was a good mom and spent time doing all that, the rest would fall into play. But I lost friendships and whatever because I spent too much time in being a mom and working, making sure that they had a roof over their head. I learned I lived for everyone else and not for myself in being homeless. And being homeless, you have to live for yourself. Because if you don't, you can't help others, or you can't survive, or there's not going to be the next day, or the next meal, or the next... It becomes... You learn how to pick yourself up no matter what out here. Because just the next day, the sun's going to come up, or it's going to be cold, or you're going to be hungry, or you're going to be whatever. There's no easy part of being homeless. And it's not because we don't work that we're homeless. It's because we get in survival, just surviving. We don't have time for anything else. We don't care what we look like or who sees us or any of that. Some of us do hold a sign, or beg for spare change, or even sit there just hoping someone will say, do you need something? Because you don't have a voice when people look at you a certain way, but let alone do you want to ask, but you have to sometimes. Sometimes the only way up is by asking someone for help.
Have you done that, Sarah?
I have. And most of the time, most people just shake their head thinking you're joking or that you really don't, or you're trying to use them, or that there's some other avenue that you're getting at. But no, sometimes it's just someone else to understand or an ear.
What is your advice to those that are newly homeless?
To be honest, I would go to a mom who has children at a bus stop and ask them if they know of any resources, because the best advice I've ever gotten was from another woman with children. They don't try to steer you in the wrong direction or try to make a pun or insinuate something else. They're not trying to get something from you. They're just trying to survive with their children, just like you are. And they usually know about some sort of resource or a church that you can ask, or even I'll call another family member a cell phone that they can just ask someone else. Most of the time, because they're not just thinking about themselves, they're thinking about others. And they know they have to take care of themselves. They know what they have to do to survive every day. So, or where to look or who to ask. Because, I don't know, they're usually more real than most people.
What do you want to tell people that are watching this?
I'm not doing this because I think that I have a better opinion or I know any better than anyone else. I just want my voice to be heard in the fact that, yes, I have been homeless. Yes, I am out on the streets as anyone else. Yes, I've had to ask for help. And yes, I've been in situations I've not exactly wanted to be in or asked to be in or any of that. It's just, we all have something we're not proud of or something we've achieved or lost. I just think that more people should understand how hard of a struggle it is to pick yourself up out of a situation that you're constantly moving or running or looking over your shoulder. It's not a victim stance. It's not a homeless stance. It's not, I don't want to be part of society or I don't believe in rules. I just want to be free just like everybody else. And I just want to have the options that everyone else has, or at least the chance to have, even if I want to be stubborn, whatever. There should be, I think that everybody says there's all these things to help people out here, but really, truly, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of resources when you have to constantly look for them or seek them out, because we're moving nonstop. So it's hard for them to seek us out. And that most of us aren't doing wrong out here. We just want to be free. We don't want someone telling us what to do or how to be or who to be. We want to find out for ourselves. Some of us just want to know who we are.
You want to tell us about your arm?
I shattered my elbow. I tie my shoes together or buckle them together because I lived in a tent and I don't want to lose them. So I put them together and I was so angry and upset with my neighbor for not her opinion, but her trying to enforce her opinion on me and putting her stuff in my space on the road, on a public road, that Instead of fighting or arguing or pushing or any of that, I just put on my shoes, marched like a chicken down the street, and tripped a block later before realizing my shoes were tied together. And yes, nobody believed my story when I went to the emergency room 2 days later because I thought I was being a baby and that nothing was wrong, that I just bruised it. Because I had a stroke and they weren't willing to physical therapy. They said I'd never walk again. I felt nobody believed in me the way I believed in myself, and I couldn't get that across. It was a break of communication.
How long ago was the stroke?
10 years ago, but I've been in a treatment facility, a couple other facilities. I did everything my family wanted me to do, I believe, and they still put me on the street pretty much. Everybody still put me on the street because I didn't understand why I was on probation or on lockdown when all I wanted to do was be like everybody else, have freedoms to wake up when I wanted, go to bed when I wanted, to eat when I wanted, to watch what I wanted. Everybody else had an opinion. Nobody ever just really sat and tried to listen to what I was trying to get across.
You want to talk about how the stroke happened?
I was strangled into it by the man that I was married to because I told him I didn't love him and I didn't want to be in the situation I was anymore.
You're lucky to be alive.
I am. But I changed my whole life because I didn't want to be bitter anymore or angry anymore because things didn't work out the way I expected or thought they should. I just wanted to be happy, or at least the chance to be happy. I didn't want to be a kept person. I didn't want to be held back by what other people said or thought. So I pretty much had the police escort me to a door of my family's house, put me on a bus because I couldn't walk, and I rode up the mountain. And I didn't look back for 5 years until I realized I had shut myself off from society and it wasn't helping me to not allow my voice to be heard or me be around people. And I thought that I was a failure because no one understood that I just wanted to make my own choices and that I was too young to be in a nursing home or in a care facility or to be kept in another way. I just felt that I should figure out first who I was and realize how strong of a person I was and that I was no lesser or no unequal to anyone else. And it felt like no matter which way I looked at it, I was being treated that way because with my handicaps in the wheelchair, everyone wanted to help and do everything for me, not listen either. And then when I was able to walk and do all that, then I was held back by, well, you're homeless and you don't want to follow anyone's rules. And that you obviously have a drug and alcohol problem and you obviously don't want to succeed.
Not the truth.
No, not at all. Everyone wants to be looked at as a success in some sort, but even if you don't make it to that success, just accept it. Everyone deserves to be accepted. No matter what, we should take our own judgment before judging someone else. I don't want to be a judge or jury or a God or any of that. Therefore, I try to not judge others. But when somebody looks at you with that look like you're a piece of trash and that you don't have a voice or an opinion, most of us out here are very educated people. Most of us are very intelligent and most of us are very capable of succeeding at many, 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 oh my God, many things. And most of us have bigger hearts. Oh my God, it's amazing some of the the community we have out here is great. So that's what makes it really hard when you're trying to succeed or do what society says we're supposed to do, is the fact that we found a community out here. And some of them are like amazing. And it's hard to see people you love still on the street when you're not. And then you tell yourself, why do I deserve that when there's veterans, people way older than me that have lived, oh my God, amazing lives and have stories to tell, have so much to offer others out here still on the street because, for one, that's all they own and they don't want it to be looked at as trash. For two, they've been looked at as trash for so long that nobody listens. For three, some of them have allowed other people's thinking to make them feel like they're trash and they don't deserve any better. So I would just say, have a little compassion. Maybe you should ask the person's story before you judge. Or what can I do to help you learn something different, or can I learn something from you? That's what I would say. My name is Sarah, and I have been forgotten.
Hello, Sarah. I hope you are well today. Somehow I doubt it. Sacramento, man. Just the way MLH says it. Because you're somebody's favorite. Absolutely. Absolutely. Turn that crap down. I'm feeding back in my own earbuds. Let's see. The other thing. Oh, yeah, that's not it. I gotta say, I'm real impressed with this. Personally, I think he made a lick, but we'll see how it plays out. Not that one. Not that one. There it is. All right. Is it not playing? It's not playing. I'm an idiot.
The Walrus and the Carpenter by Lewis Carroll. The sun was shining on the sea, shining with all his might. He did his very best to make the billows smooth and bright, and this was odd, because it was the middle of the night. The moon was shining sulkily, because she thought the sun had got no business to be there after the day was done. It's very rude of him, she said, to come and spoil the fun. The sea was wet as wet could be, the sands were dry as dry. You could not see a cloud because no cloud was in the sky. No birds were flying overhead, there were no birds to fly. The Walrus and the Carpenter were walking close at hand. They wept like anything to see such quantities of sand. If this were only cleared away, they said it would be grand. If 7 maids with 7 mops swept it for half a year, do you suppose, the Walrus said, that they could get it clear? I doubt it, said the Carpenter, and shed a bitter tear. O oysters, come and walk with us, the Walrus did beseech. A pleasant walk, a pleasant talk, along the briny beach. We cannot do with more than 4, to give a hand to each. The eldest oyster looked at him, but never a word he said. The eldest oyster winked his eye and shook his heavy head, meaning to say he did not choose to leave the oyster bed. But 4 young oysters hurried up, all eager for the treat. Their coats were brushed, their faces washed, their shoes were clean and neat, and this was odd because, you know, they hadn't any feet. 4 other oysters followed them, and yet another 4, and thick and fast they came at last, and more and more and more,
and more,
all hopping through the frothy waves and scrambling to the shore. The walrus and the carpenter walked on a mile or so, and then they rested on a rock, conveniently low, and all the little oysters stood and waited in a row. The time has come, the walrus said, to talk of many things, of shoes and ships and sealing wax, of cabbages and kings, and why the sea is boiling hot, and whether pigs have wings.
Hey, Lucky, welcome to the show.
But wait a bit, the oysters cried, before we have our chat, for some of us are out of breath, and all of us are fat. No hurry, said the carpenter. They thanked him much for that. A loaf of bread, the walrus said, is what we chiefly need. Pepper and vinegar besides are very good indeed. Now if you're ready, oysters dear, we can begin to feed. But not on us, the oysters cried, turning a little blue. After such kindness, that would be a dismal thing to do. The night is fine, the walrus said. Do you admire the view? It was so kind of you to come, and you are very nice. The carpenter said nothing, but cut us another slice. I wish you were not quite so deaf. I've had to ask you twice. It seems a shame, the walrus said, to play them such a trick, after we've brought them out so far, and made them trot so quick. The carpenter said nothing, but the butter's spread too thick. I weep for you, the walrus said, I deeply sympathize. With sobs and tears he sorted out those of the largest size, holding his pocket handkerchief before his streaming eyes. Oh, oysters, said the carpenter, you've had a pleasant run. Shall we be trotting home again? But answer came there none, and this was scarcely odd, because they'd eaten everyone.
Everyone. My man made a lick with that one. I really like it. He's also got some poetry back here somewhere. I'm starting to get a little hungry there, MVTV. What's up, buddy? Yeah, no, he was not 100 years before hallucinogens, because hallucinogens have been occupado in the human mind since the dawn of time. Mushrooms, man, molds and fungi. Or, you know, if you just want to get really tanked, try going and eating some old turned figs. Oh, modern, yeah, like absinthe. See, the thing about absinthe, absinthe is derived from a bile poison. It is not fit for human consumption and causes people to go insane. All right, I'm gonna turn the music back on and go back to looking for something to go look at. But I will do this right before I go to it. Also, I'm hungry.
Hey, that one, he says, you're the one from Taylor. Hey, look. I just went, we just did audit. Yeah. He said, hey, I know you're the one from Taylor.
Hey, people.
We were down to Taylor, too.
Who all's over here? Somebody's birthday. I don't know whose. For bread and circus resents. Or presents. Yeah, no, I thought about doing a series of based off of people doing absolutely absurd stuff. And then Memology started his channel up and it blew up like crazy. And what's the other one? Odin's Men. He does basically the same thing. SC React, same thing. Now this girl, she is working all the time. Constantly. This is Mighty Heidi How do I spell it? How is that? Mighty Heidi Dream Warriors broadcast. And she's Ubering or door dashing or something all the time. She is on that grind. She about it. Gizzard Gary, what do you do?
Right here? Probably not
that specific one.
Okay.
Specific one, but
That's straight out of the Rifleman. Or no, actually, that's from Firefly.
decent penny if it was one from the series.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it
yeah.
wouldn't say Henry repeating arms on it either, but you know.
Yeah, that's what that is. Who else we got? Live on Patrol. We got Motor City Maniac. Jade Monkey. News Now Omaha. The 10th Man. Only road I've ever known. Okay. Roland Martin. Ruby Marino. Let's see. I'm hungry. American Muslims leaving Democrats in droves. Infrared. Something good might happen if you join. Decoy Voice Live. Having some drinks live. Huh. And it's already over. Nope, it's still going. How many drinks have you boys had? How many we got? Wrong button. Damn it. Right over. All right. Now, let's see how many people you got in here. What you got going on? 74 just watching y'all get hammered. That's pretty good, man. I gotta admit, that's pretty spiffy. Yeah, no, Callahan's Crossroads Saloon. And I don't understand the joke. I don't get the backstory. I just don't get it. But it's cool. That's a really cool community over there. They're he's got some really devoted fans, and that's really cool because he deserves it. He puts in the work. He does the time. He does it. You know, like I say, he does the thing. You know the thing. We're gonna do this for a bit. No, that is the wrong thing. That's not supposed to be like that. Why is it like that? Let's try this. Right, and then we do. What is it? It's and then we do this, and then we do.
Broken hearts, they all feel the same, and I don't wanna be all alone. Just pull me apart, take me away, tell me it's all gonna be okay. I wanna feel like I'm still alive, but I'm dead inside. All I know is I keep on waiting. My mind's running and my heart beats racing. I'm not the same since your heart gave out on me, on me. Wish you would stay, but I know you gotta go. I hate change and I hate being alone. Never the same, the beginning always loved it more. Yeah, just pull me apart, take me away, tell me it's all gonna be okay. I wanna feel like I'm still alive. yeah. I don't believe in destiny, I just do what's best for me. Don't listen to my enemies, they're just full of jealousy. Yeah, this legacy, you gon' see what's left of me. You gon' see success in me, you ain't seen the rest of me. I just wanna be the best at what I know, better than the rest, just watch me grow. Put me to the test and watch me go. This is my quest, I'ma make it known. They call me obsessive, oh I know. Call me selective with my notes, call me aggressive with my flow. Call me offensive even though Joe, I ain't gonna lie, life's tough. Try to get by, life's rough. Try to do it right, it's not enough. Even though you try, you still mess up. But I'm still gonna fight for what I love. Still gonna die for what I love. Still gonna try, I won't give up. Still gonna fight until I've won. They say I'm way too obsessed and I've got nothing left. And I'm not quite there yet, but
we'll
those words they'll regret. Cause I've got something left and I'm not giving in. I will not let them win. I won't stop till the end, no. Destiny, 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 destiny. I've been through some injuries, mentally and physically. Studied them religiously so I don't repeat history. And people won't admit to me they don't want a victory. Bad enough to get a C, they'd rather just go leave it be. You know, this journey I've been on since 13. Working hard and learning, never stopping searching. Yeah, it's burning, all this passion hurts me. I took action working, writing down these words. No, I'm not okay, I just wanna be something. I don't wanna be nothing, living all alone. No, I'm not alright, I'm just barely getting by. But I'll tell you I'm just fine, so you leave me alone. They say I'm way too obsessed and I've got nothing left. And I'm not quite there yet, but those words they'll regret. Cause I've got something left and I'm not giving in. I will not let them win, I won't stop till the end, no. Destiny, 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 destiny.
Much love, brother. Don't let the man get you down. And remember, Sasquatch shields so you don't have to.
The Hope Road.
Said I'm caught in the water, broken and still, feel nothing at all.
Yeah, Lion One was talking mostly, but yeah, they didn't like her. Gina, hey Gina, look at you. How you doing? Lion One, get on my chat. You don't belong here. That's a joke. Patriot Defense, glad to see you, man. Hey Heather, Magnificent Life, baby. She is in heaven. Oh, so it would have been her birthday. Okay, yeah. Little rip. Becky O's mom. Hey Gina. Hey, good to see you, girl. I hope the man's doing good. I hope y'all staying safe out there, no doubt. And
Hey, she was a cutie in a sundress. I told her I just had to confess. I got a crush on you, darling. Them long tan legs got me falling.